This episode of the Co-optional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain name, website, or online store, make your next move with squarespace.com/cooptional. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast here on the 1st of August, a grand August it is, in 2017.
True.
I wouldn't go that far, just started. We don't know anything about this August.
So
this
far,
could be a terrible August.
So
this
far, it's
August
really good.
No, we are 12 hours in on the West Coast here, and so far, pretty boring. Pretty boring.
That's a good thing, though. You remember the ancient Chinese curse.
We know nothing terrible has happened. So.
The ancient Chinese curse?
Yes, the ancient Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. It's an ancient Chinese curse.
That sounds like a monkey paw. That's a monkey paw thing.
Because interesting doesn't necessarily mean good.
Yeah, yeah.
But interesting doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Yeah, but
may you live in interesting times. Fuck yes. I would love to live in interesting times so that when I'm old as shit and I have little kids being like, Grandma, tell me about when you were a kid. I can be like, yo, those times were fucking interesting, my dude.
But that's
you
the
would
problem.
Swear at your grandchildren?
I mean, let's be
would.
real. I'm going to.
She absolutely would.
Yeah.
Not even a doubt about it.
Yeah.
We know exactly who we're dealing with here. Just let me put it that way.
Out of all of us, I have the least amount of decorum, I want to say. So...
I don't know.
You have picked quite the show to make that particular challenge on. Almost makes me think you might be trying to stir up something. Maybe.
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. I think you're being a little bit dishonest about that.
What?
Yo, I fucking love when Julia's on this show because we talk about bullshit and it gets so great. I love it. The second I saw the tweet being like, we're going to have Julia back on, I was like, fuck yes.
It does.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see the rabbit hole that we all jump into.
It's resulted in some of the most famous co-optional off-topic moments that we've ever had, and some of the rudest, least safe for work, least family-friendly moments.
Strongly disagree.
My dude.
Which is fine, because this isn't a family show, and we're not looking for an audience of kids. No. And trust me, anyone, maybe a little bit insecure teenage boys, tend to get terrified when we start talking about delivery boxes full of really big dildos. Especially
I got one of those. What was sent
for
to me?
More decorative purposes.
Really? What was it? What was it called? Tell me everything.
I will tell you, it wasn't actually a dildo. It was a giant box that said it was a huge dildo, but inside was just party games and stuff. It was a
Boo.
I'm so sorry. I didn't just get a big old dong delivered to me, Julia.
That's what you just pitched. That was what you led us to believe just now.
So
I lied to you.
So would you call it a Dilfaux then? Or that? Yeah? Uh-huh. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I would not call it. No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if we're trying to be a little bit clever with that. This is after Julia a couple of days ago specifically soliciting different terms to make it clear that dick pics were creepy and nobody wanted them.
This is true.
Nobody wants a dick pic. Nobody wants a dick pic.
But we were trying to come up with terms to make
that. But you don't send a dick pic without consent.
Well, you don't assume. Like the default position in the world.
Who are these dick pic people? Who are the people who want a dick pic?
If you want a dick pic, press 1 in chat.
This was exactly my question, though. I just don't understand. Like, when was it like suddenly just become a thing? Like if you think about like old school days, you had to be like a weird guy in like a coat, like flashing.
Yeah,
in,
they had to
like,
put
a
some effort
park or
into that, and there was a
Sure,
real
yeah.
risk of being
Right?
arrested for it. You know,
Yeah.
not-
And
Generally
admittedly, that
good.
took guts because what you saw is what you get. Dick pics are
Yeah.
like angled, like underball shots.
True.
Oh, yeah,
MySpace
that's
shots.
lies.
All
Yeah.
airbrush, it's all lies. It's all
It's all
lies.
lies.
It's
Yeah,
all
man.
lies. I
I don't know
remember
how I
Photoshop
would
has
know
ruined
about
us.
any of that. I don't know how I would know, but I'm saying it's all lies. Don't trust them.
And then before
Well,
that, you know,
well.
everybody had so much time on their hands. They were incredible artists, so they would just like detail,
Oh, yeah, like
do like
detail
detailed
drawing of
paintings
the
and
penis.
well, like a
sketch drawings
watercolor
of
dick
their
pic.
own dongles. Yeah, and
A-
then
a
just send them to
watercolored-
people.
Send
It
it
was
by
very-
pigeon.
Oil
very
painting.
artistic, very nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just
oh yeah.
dots, like little dots put
The
together. And you're like, oh,
ancient
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
close
yeah,
up,
yeah.
it looks
Japanese
like dots, but
woodblock
from far away, that's a
prints.
dick.
You know, if you
Oh my
wanted to,
god! And then mothers would like receive them in the mail with the seal on them, and they'd want to know what people were sending their daughters, so they'd like open up that shit and then they'd
Ah, this has the royal seal upon
Oh
it.
God, it's an impressionist dick pic. My daughter's this.
oh, nothing worse than a damn impressionist
just burn it at
postmodernist dick pics.
My dearest.
It's like, oh
I've
great,
drawn for
using
thee.
pointillism. Awesome. Another one of those.
Yeah.
Put it in my sketchbook.
Mhm.
I-
yeah,
I-
for
I was-
all we know, dick pics have been around forever. It's just that
Of
all the
course they've
moms
been around
burned
for-
them, and we have no proof.
Well, no,
Oh,
we know
they're-
they've been around forever because we found cave paintings with them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's
We
been
found
a thing
cave
forever.
dicks. I didn't know
Yes,
we found cave
yeah, I found
dicks.
cave
Yeah,
dicks.
like really,
Yeah.
really big ones as well, which were
Oh my
like
God.
clearly like.
Yep, everyone
like
over
baby-
I know
also
there's like dick
exaggerates.
sculptures. I
Oh
just
yeah,
didn't
go to
know
the British
that.
Museum. There's an
Yeah.
entire
All the way
area
back.
in there of dick pics. The British Museum has tons of dick pics and
Yep.
dick sculptures,
True.
and
Yeah.
they're huge,
Yeah.
giant.
Yeah.
Which I'm just
100%
saying,
true.
modern man, you're failing apparently because old in
Old
the
dick
olden
was
t- those
big
were like
dick.
Oh, dick
like,
was big. Dick.
huge, huge. I'm just saying,
Not
we
wrong.
can't compete. If time travel exists, don't go back in time. You will be embarrassed.
Don't go back. Everybody's gonna make fun of you, dog.
Yep. Or
gonna
more
be
accurately,
real
going to make fun of your
embarrassing.
dong, but
Real
you know.
bad.
Don't go in the shower room. You're just gonna get laughed
The
at.
old caveman shower room.
Yeah, we came up with a few terms to
We did.
hopefully increase people's self-awareness about the idea of the dick pic. Mine, and I'm pretty proud of this, was the Callous Phallus.
I think that's good because it's about rebranding dick pics. Maybe
Yeah.
they've just got a load of bad press,
Sure.
you know. So
The
it's about.
Callous Phallus.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
because most people don't want a
None
dick
of that
pic.
is appealing.
No,
That's
on
it,
any
the
it
level.
sounds like
point. It's not supposed
There's
to be
something wrong
appealing.
with
It's
it.
supposed to remind people that sending a dick pic is a kind of a
Yeah.
dick move, you know?
right.
But
It's a,
then also-
it's a callous action.
It's a callous action.
Yeah.
Ergo,
but like-
it is
But
the,
is it,
the
is, it,
Callous
is
Phallus.
it callous or callos? Like the different? What's the thing where you get the hard skin?
I mean, there
That's
could
what
be
That's
callous,
what it sounds like to
The
me.
phallus
That's
could
what
be
it
So
sounds
it's like
callous.
a knobbly penis.
but
with
then it
hard
could
skin on
be a calloused phallus, which is
Ooh.
even worse
That's
potentially.
Even
too
speaking.
long.
better.
It's far too long. That's
Okay, wait. Move
no.
on. Next one.
Okay.
What was the next
Fine.
idea?
You fucks come up with something better. I did send a few more to Julia. I'll go find them. But in the meantime,
Yes.
if you're going to be so critical of my creations, my beautiful art, then you
Sure.
Oh,
come
Sure.
up.
no, my
You-
favorite
you-
one of
you
yours
come-
was
come
the
on.
creepy pee-pee. The creepy pee-pee? I
The-
quite like
yeah, the
that.
creepy,
Oh,
creepy
I like
pee,
that
yes.
one.
That's
that
adorable.
one says
That's
everything you need to
adorable.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We integrated it. We made the branding all integrated into one word. It's a creepy pee, is what it is. You know.
Ah, the
A
creepy
creepy
pee.
Creepy
pee.
pee. Yeah.
I see.
Someone also
Clever.
suggested the creepy
But
pee,
creepy
which
pee pee sounds like it could also be a
Yeah.
song. Like you could make a jingle to go along with that.
Well,
It
hold
takes
on,
away
no,
the
but
aggressive nature of the dick pic. It's like,
creepy
could.
pee
creepy pee.
is that's like I'm down with creepy pee. Yeah, you know me. That's
down
already.
with
has
I
a
mean,
song.
there is a slight problem
down
with
with
the
creepy pee.
overlap
Yeah,
between
you
the
know
Bloods and the
me.
Crips.
And that's how you
Like-
let people know. That's how you let
That's
people
how
know
you
if
let.
you're into
Oh,
it.
fuck. That's
That's-
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That seems like
I
more
would-
of a
I would
that
sing
seems
that
like
song.
more cause more problems than it would solve. Really, that's not
No.
really a
Why?
turf war you want to be. I don't know. I'm getting confused with the Crips and the Bloods is probably a bad idea
No,
in
no.
most scenarios.
That could never be a bad thing, surely.
No, that would never
Yes,
happen.
how could
TV,
that?
you began this. We just rolled with it. So
Yeah.
Well, you got to
Yeah.
roll with it. You got to take your time. You got to say what you say. Don't let anybody get in your way. So come,
We're on
you
a
come up.
fantastic voyage.
You come up with something. Because this is all too much for me to take. So you guys feel free to come up with a better one then. Come up with a rebrand dick
maybe
pic.
a
Hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
Man,
sure, being creative on the spot's real hard now, isn't it? Maybe you shouldn't mock
You
people
didn't
who
have
do
to be
it in
creative on
future.
the spot. You had a list.
Damn.
You made it before the show.
Hey.
You didn't know
Good
that
work.
this was gonna fucking happen.
Hey,
Yeah,
I-
we're trying to be
Did
clever.
we would
I
have
should-
committed a lot of time
I'm
to
sure
coming
you
up
would
with
have.
good
I'm
shit.
sure you would have.
Perverted penis. No.
Well,
is that
no.
prob-
I mean, that's sort of like that's redundant.
penis perv.
Penis perv?
Mm.
Is that a perv with a penis or perv because he's
Maybe
wielding a
like
penis? Is he
no,
perving on
this applies to something
penises?
else. I was gonna say a downer dongle, but I think makes it sound like it's flaccid. Is it pronounced flaccid or is it pronounced flaccid?
Flaccid.
Flaccid,
Flaccid,
100% of the time, yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Where did
'cause
flaccid
I
come
was,
from?
I was watching an episode of Silicon Valley last night where he was like, "Oh, it's actually pronounced flaccid." Most people don't know that, and I was like, "Is that real?" And
No,
now I'm gonna look
that's
it up.
comedy. That is
No,
that
that's
is a funny comedy
flaxseed,
thing.
isn't it? That's a completely different
Yeah,
thing. though.
it's like flaxseed, yeah.
A flaccid flaxseed.
Yeah, I mean,
Continue on
flaxseed,
with your
that's
conversation.
what you
I'm
put
going
in
to find out how
rye
it's
bread,
actually
you know?
pronounced.
Here's the thing.
You
I'm with
Google-
Duger on this.
I wonder if that
When
was just a very, very elaborate
Ho ho! The
Jewish
standard
circumcision
pronunciation
joke.
is flaccid, not flaccid. Most people pronounce it to rhyme with acid, but the first C should sound like a hard K.
Flaccid?
I
No,
believe
that's
you.
like learning GIF is GIF. Get the fuck out. I don't
I don't
care.
believe you in a
We've
million
changed
years.
our minds now.
All right,
It's
we're
different
looking
word.
up that pronunciation. Bear in mind, there is a British pronunciation as well. So,
Oh,
Which
that-
is obviously the correct one.
yeah, yes, it would be. I it is under the 11 surprising words you're probably mispronouncing.
One
thing
of which
on
is,
Business Insider.
pronunciation as well, hilariously. Which
Yes,
is pronunciation,
can
not
someone
pronouncing.
explain to me why this article is on Business Insider and how this?
Look,
that's important.
they need to make
this.
sure that when you're in your business meetings for your sex toy company, that you pronounce flaccid
You'll
correctly.
never be flaccid again. Yeah.
Also, half these words aren't even real.
Flaccid again.
Like, here's
that
the thi-
does not sound good. It
The
doesn't
first thing
sound
on
great.
their list, by the way, which I guess is their little token nod to business, is comptroller, a person in charge of the financial accounts of a company or organization. It's called a comptroller. Who the
Yeah.
fuck ever?
Comptrollers.
Have you? No, that's not normal, is it?
It's
Is it?
totally normal. Yeah.
Really? Julie, have you heard that word?
Comptroller.
No, literally never heard that. Maybe it's like an American.
It's
That
an American
must be
thing,
American.
For sure.
Mm.
I've never
heard that
heard
word.
that. Chat, if you...
Don't rely on them. They're
No, I just
notoriously stupid.
I want to know. I mean, you're not wrong, but
Jesus, mate.
yeah.
Chat
You're
off.
going to get
Post
you
your
and get some
nationality
dildos
and
in
either
the
yes
post
or
now,
no.
my friend.
My
Yeah.
chat's off. I'm not even
That's all he wants. That's all he
I just
wants
wanna
is
know.
more dildos.
I just want to know if that's like a very American thing because I've never heard that word in my life.
Can we go back to the concept of dick pics and how
Oh,
we
yeah.
already need to understand that that's a perfect term as is, because the pic you're getting is of a dick from a dick. That is all you need to know. It's so perfect. It's like trying to come up with a better thing for like something that's already perfect.
Mhm.
We need to stop.
So it's a dick pic.
Yeah.
A dick
It
pic.
explains what you get from who you got it.
Yeah.
Unless
enough.
you want dick pics, in which case,
You ask for them.
Yeah, exactly.
You ask for them. It's not a default thing that most people want.
There was one guy on one of my Snapchat stories who did like an entire story of him masturbating, right?
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, great.
you must know this. Obviously, like when you get a dick pic, there's like that moment of panic when it comes on the screen, and he's like just going at it, and in the panic, you forget how to use Snapchat, and you're just trying to get it off the screen.
just
and
like,
then all he's doing is
No.
flicking through the story, and there's more and more of him masturbating over different periods of time of day, and he's in different t-shirts. He's literally been doing this all day. But I mean, one thing was that logistically, I'm quite sort of impressed that he managed to ejaculate within the small time frame. I mean, it takes some dedication to do that over and over again,
Question.
and also maybe
Question.
nothing else going on. in
Yes,
his life.
Jesse.
point of order.
Yes.
Why don't you just make it private so they can't send you stuff?
Because like sometimes you just like chatting to people.
I
You know?
don't understand people with open DM boxes. I don't get that. Why would you allow that to
Let
happen?
them do that.
I don't know, because sometimes I have
I
like
open
really
mine
nice
sometimes.
fun chats, you know, and I don't want
Sometimes.
to just judge everybody and penalize everybody for the actions of a few.
But is it just a few though?
I've
I
only
mean,
I've
depends
only
if you-
gotten one dick Snapchat ever, so I would say
So
yeah,
what?
it's a few.
Yeah,
Wow.
but how big is your
It's
Snapchat?
fine. It's
though?
already
Like,
deleted.
Do you use your Snapchat a lot? Is that
I don't
something
use
you've-
Snapchat anymore ever since they were like, what if we showed everybody where you live? And I was like, what if I just deleted this app forever?
Well,
so there you go.
Yeah,
but
well,
in the time that I
think
was
then
using
maybe...
it,
Oh, okay. I was
I
going to say,
have
now
I was
you don't
using
use it at all.
I
That
only
might not
ever
be a
got
strong argument,
one
but
dickle. Sam
Yeah.
got tons of them.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm actually less surprised about
Lots
that.
of dudes wanted Sam to know what their dick looks like, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Go
I
for it, man."
I do wonder how more common it is amongst the gay community. I don't know. I couldn't speak to that.
I mean, you could. That's like the only like. What else are you gonna show? You got nothing else.
Really, there's nothing else on a man's body that could
There's
be possibly
nothing
considered
else you could show
attractive.
somebody.
No,
That's it.
no.
That's it.
Really?
A man is a
Everything
head.
Really?
else is like a vampire. You take a picture and it just fucking fuzzies up.
Yeah. Have you ever? Please. Of course. What are you gonna look at? Like everything else? Yeah,
Their
it's-
What do you
face?
mean?
What about
What
their
else
face?
are you going to look at?
Nah, faces is ugly. Dicks though, hot.
Never
You're
actually
so getting
hot.
dildos.
Yeah. He's soliciting them actively.
I'm gonna find a like. I wonder
We're
if they
not
do like a
so
dildo
strap.
bouquet box, and I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh, dildo bouquet. That would be perfect.
I'm googling this
Aw.
right now. Dildo bouquet.
I know that you can get like
lovely.
I know that the term like box of dicks became a thing where you could like buy a box filled with dildos. I know that
Julia,
that's a thing.
I will only accept that from you if at the top of every dick is a fidget spinner, and they show all
And
spinning.
it's spinning. What when it
Yeah.
open like a magical
Forever.
Yeah,
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. There's gotta be some like fancy concierge company. Like, excuse me, I've got a bit of a weird request.
Dicks on
Could you
demand.
send my friend a box, and could you also balance some fidget spinners on the top? Thanks very
Yeah.
much.
I mean, you can
Glue
bounce
them
fidget spinners on
necessary,
there, but how would you get them spinning by the time you arrived? Unless you had to have, like,
Just
the
like,
person has to
that's
open
what
it,
Chris-
unveil
yeah,
it,
company to
starts
figure
all of the
out.
spins,
Yeah.
and then leaves you to it, yeah?
You just call up like edible arrangements and you're just like, hey, I know
Uh,
that you're all about like putting
about
chocolate
things that
in
you
with
can-
all of the fruit.
And also
Yeah.
of things you can eat, but could you do this unedible thing? Unedible
No,
arrangements?
no, you're not listening.
I'm
The
clearly
dildos
not.
would be chocolates that are in the shape of penises,
Well,
and
that-
then you put the
that-
fidget spinners on.
They're
Now
not
that
dildos then at
sounds
that point.
Delivered.
gift.
Now that sounds like a dildo bouquet I could really enjoy.
And then there's for some reason pineapple in there as well. I don't
Of
know
course,
why.
there's always
Sick.
pineapple in those
It's a big
arrangements,
thing.
man. Always. Anyway, long story short, guys, ask somebody if they would like a dick pic before you send it to them.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
We
Yep.
occasionally talk about video games.
With an hilarious
mainly
lesson
about-
about consent. There
Yep.
we go. We make these issues funny, I guess,
You
somehow.
can really see it very well. It's made out of glass.
Is that
How
is
is
that the
that safe?
glass
That's not
stick?
safe.
No.
Why
No.
would you
Hey,
ever?
It's got a light in it.
Well, I think it's more for decorative rather than practical purposes, right? Let's be honest with that.
I've gone down a rabbit hole in Google here right now. Let me tell
Oh,
you.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have.
You don't say.
Yeah. Good lord.
Penis edible
spelled-
arrangement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guys, what have you all been playing this
Not
That's a
week?
great question. Yeah. I think that was as good an intro as Julia's ever going to get here.
What, dildo bouquet?
She somehow still has a job at the BBC, one of the most respected broadcast organizations in the shows up on this show
Look, what
repeatedly
happens
Not anymore.
uncooptional
and
stays
comes up with this.
uncooptional.
Yes, indeed. They somehow the BBC. I think the BBC just ignores that we exist, and that's probably for the best for everybody concerned. We're
No,
okay
I
with
just,
that.
Look, I
Okay
saw a
with
penis
that.
documentary on the BBC. You cannot.
Oh, they've done
tell
plenty
me
of that
they-
stuff. Yeah,
It was.
that's
incredible.
a fact.
What
Mm.
what were they telling you about it exactly? What was
It was
Well,
about.
penises,
It was
I
a
imagine.
guy who did a. It was his documentary.
Oh, it was
about
the
his
micro
very-
penis one,
Yeah, his
right?
micro penis, and he like. It was about how his girlfriend's like, I love you how you are, but he like couldn't accept who he was, and so he went on a world quest to find out like what was going on with his ding dong. It was. We tuned in because there was people having sex on the screen. And I wanted to make it awkward for everyone in the room, but we stayed watching because it was very like it was entertaining. And then the very end of it was a man screaming, "This is my cock!" while listening to Coldplay in the background. It's like,
It's the
Still, like,
Coldplay
that's
that
the
makes
right
it.
music for
Funny.
that. Mhm.
Yeah,
I was
and it's like,
I was also told that at a
and it
certain
was
point he
all
like gets a
yellow.
cast
Wait,
made
go
of
see
his
a doctor.
dickle.
he does get his ding dong put in a cast, and the woman's like, "It's fine. It's not even that bad." compared to the other cast, it was very bad. I feel
So, I mean, what was the end result? He was just shouting whilst listening to Coldplay, and then like
yeah. The end result was
he
like
just wanted to fall in love with his dick.
Yeah. And then they interviewed his girlfriend, and his girl, like at the very end after the credits, the girlfriend was like, "I don't know what the hell his problem is. He's great. He's
fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, it was.
He
very
can do what he
sweet.
needs to do, and there are ways
Yeah.
to supplement certain limitations. Let's just put it that way.
He has no limitations. He just
You can't-
needed
I
to.
mean, he has some.
He just
we all
no.
have some.
He just needed to learn to love his body.
Like, if he
Yeah,
wants to
that's
tie
what
a
it-
knot,
that's
tie
really
in a
what it's about.
bow.
Even though the thing was about his ween, it really was about loving yourself for who you are. That was
Which
kind
is
of the
fine.
point.
That's a good
but it was still
message.
hilarious. We were
But,
like,
but he is limited. If he wanted to toss it over his shoulder like a regimental soldier, he would not be able to do that.
no one
no
can
one
do
can
that.
do that.
That's never ever.
If that were true, why would that song exist? Hmm?
Because men are weird creeps
There's
who are
a
like, I
kernel
love
of
you.
truth in everything. All mythology
You know this.
starts from
You know-
truth in
What's
history.
that?
You know this.
Yeah. What's the name of that comic series where a bunch of teenagers suddenly get superpowers and the one teenager winds up with a dick that's as long as his leg and everybody's like, this is so awkward. This isn't a superpower. What?
I don't know,
I
but
What
we
comic
do
is
have
that?
Google.
Chat, one of you knows. One of you knows, chat. You gotta
Comic.
look. You gotta
God.
tell me.
I hope no one
Teenagers,
knows, and that is like you
superpower.
just being weird.
No,
Big
it's real.
dick.
It's real. Anyways.
I mean, I'm looking it up. I
Somebody's
think
gonna
I think
know.
you may have made this up, but
I didn't.
This is a dream she had, a fever dream.
probably.
Mhm.
As big as his legs.
Yeah, and then probably blame stripping for it, because that is a fairly common thing that happens when, trust me, this is a thing you get a lot in marriage. Either the husband or the wife wakes up and then blames the husband or the wife for a thing they did in the dream that they just had.
It's not an Olaf strip, guys. I've read all of those. It's not an Olaf strip.
Yeah, so
How does nobody know what this is?
because
It
this
was
probably isn't real.
No, it's real. We all read it when I was in college. We all like.
All of us.
We all read it when I was in college.
Yeah, everybody who was in my theater department. Shut up.
Yeah, okay.
There is a couple of things popping up in chat. Someone mentioned the Misfits.
No, because that's the BBC show.
Okay, so that's apparently not a
That'd be an
thing.
amazing BBC
Unless it's also a comic. Wait.
Oh yeah, I mean there's also a band called the Misfits, and I imagine there might be a comic called the Misfits.
We are digging far too deep into something so incredible.
Well, I just want to know if
it's
she
not
literally
this.
just made this up, or
I didn't make it up.
but if Google can't find it,
Then it can't exist.
I'm gonna keep a look. I'm gonna find this fucking
All right.
comic. I'm gonna
You-
text everyone I went to college with. And
you
be
have
like,
till
what
the
was
end
that
of the
goddamn
show.
comic where
You
that
have till
kid
the
gets
end
a
of the
huge
show to
dickle?
find it.
You gotta help me.
I want them to respond to you. We haven't talked in 5 years, and this is the first thing you
Shut
say.
up. This is I'm not trying to reconnect with you. I just need to know what the fucking comic book is that we all read.
Yeah, you'll find it in the
You're
deep
just like I
weeb.
remember you.
Dodger spends a lot of her time
Heartless
in
as
the
always.
so-called deep weeb. Right. Oh, and by the way, the picture of me with the badger at De Montfort does exist. There's one copy. My mother has it. She's gonna scan it. You'll get it in the next couple of weeks. Why she kept that, I will never know. But you will get more evidence of my blonde ears beyond that dragon shirt and ponytail that I posted earlier this week. All right. Let's talk a little bit about video games. This is the funny ha-ha stuff, and well, video games, very serious business. What have you been playing this week? Who wants to throw a hat in the ring? Let's go. Nobody. Cool.
We've run out of things to
Great
say
show.
now. It's not about
Great show,
dildos.
guys.
I played Dream Daddy.
How
If
was
you wanna
that?
talk about
Play
Dream
it,
Daddy.
though.
How was that? How
I mean,
was
does
that?
that have any actual gameplay?
Huh?
Does it have any actual gameplay?
I mean, it's a visual novel. It's a dating sim. So you like make choices and stuff. There are mini games inside of it, which are
there are
pretty
mini-games?
hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, Dream Daddy is actually pretty fucking cute. The art is great. I've only reached 2 endings, but the game allows you to like make a dad at the beginning, which is pretty funny. So I've made Sam and I've made me and I've now made Krendor, but Krendor has not found love yet. And so far, all of the stories are like pretty cute. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it's wound up being a pretty adorable game.
Can I? So I too have played it. I think it
Yes.
is incredibly cute and silly and very fun game. But with all that said, having played it, I do understand some of the criticism of this game.
Okay.
Because it seems to me like when I look through, even though the people that are losing their mind are not the most articulate in their outrage.
Surely not on the internet.
Right. But with that said, it's very by the numbers. Like everything is exactly placed. Like, okay, well, we need to hit this, and we need to do this, and we need to make this joke, or we need to have like this quirk, or like everything about it is like, how can we best sell this one thing and get the most views? Like I can understand why that would irk some people. I don't give a damn. I think it's super fun and cute. I get why people would hate it, because it's very like by the book of how you would create a game about like finding your dream daddy, right? I don't know. I understand. Don't agree.
Have you like played all the way through it at all? Okay.
How long's a playthrough of that?
Like 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, not long.
So I really appreciated that the game never let you forget that you had a daughter. Like you have constant scenes with her and like interacting with her about her life and what's going on with her. She's the best character by far. She's fantastic. And I like that in the end, everything is about you like being a good dad.
Right.
I appreciated that, because I full on thought that this game was going to be like, cool, well, she's 18, so she's like fucking doing her own thing.
So
and
the
you're
daddy
trying to get
part
laid,
will be irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked that, like constantly in that game, like there is never a time when the game lets you forget, like you're a dad, you have a daughter to look after, you know, you have scenes with her and you help her through shit, and it's great. Yeah. So I've gotten Matt's ending and I've gotten Robert's ending. I am kind of disappointed, and this is like a little nitpicky thing as somebody who's played a lot of dating sims. I'm disappointed that there isn't any kind of a reward for playing it perfectly. There's like, everybody has like a good ending and a bad ending, right? And it's pretty easy to get somebody's good ending. And in those games, sometimes it's like, if you nailed it every time, if you did all the right things from beginning to end, then you get something a little extra. And I kind of wish that existed in the game, but it already has a decent amount of replayability, even just to like make a new dad. So
yeah, it's a fine game. It's super fun.
Yeah, it's cute.
And again, I totally agree. The story between you and your daughter is the biggest compelling part of all of it, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with any criticism of the game, but it's deserved of some. Like there's definitely, it's not a perfect game by any means, but people
it's
are
not
like,
a perfect game. No,
people are like in either the camp of it's amazing or it's shit. In reality, it's somewhere in between. It's very much
in reality, it's cute.
Yeah, it's like a cute game, but it's not
it's a cute game. Yeah,
for kind of a niche audience. Let's sort of be.
What was that?
For kind of a niche audience. Let's sort of be honest here. Like, I think the impression that some people got is that Game Grumps made a satire dating sim. No, they didn't. They made a dating sim that is.
They funded a dating sim that one of their employees conceived of.
Yes.
And they helped do voices for it, but for the most part, this was entirely Vernon's project.
Yes, it's his project. Yeah, Vernon used to be part of the Game Station and Polaris. He went to work for Game Grumps, I believe, less than a year ago. Yeah. And the other devs were contractors. Dude. Yeah, and but some people have this idea that they made a funny satire of dating sims. They didn't. It's not a satire of anything.
No, like, when you talk to Vernon,
it's a gay dating sim, is what it is. That's the genre.
Yeah. When you talk to Vernon, like I was talking with him when they first started putting this together, and he was like, I really want to make like a sweet game where you're a dad who falls in love with another dad. Like that's the game that I really want to make. And like he wanted it to be like an actual dating sim. He didn't want to make fun of dating sims at all.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing for a lot of people, that it is genuinely sweet, and it aims to be genuinely sweet and not a way to mock people or to get cheap laughs or whatever. And that's fine. If you're going to tell a story, I'm not into visual novels in particularly. I don't find them all that compelling. There are very few notable exceptions. But ultimately, if you are into that and that subject matter is what you're looking for, that's done well, then that is an option for you.
There were only, I want to say 2, but there's like one specific moment when I've been playing that I made a choice and the game acted like I made a different choice. So it doesn't like go along the line perfectly. Like there are times when you make a choice and then later on somebody will reference a thing that never happened and you're like, what?
Does the game have a option where you can track your choices? Or is that not a thing?
You can just save scum like in a normal.
Oh, so there's no screen
that you can save
that
at
you can
literally
go
any moment that you want.
that reminds you of you said this to this person and blah 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 blah. That's not in the game. Okay.
No.
That might be useful.
I don't know that I've ever played a dating sim that does that.
I mean,
that's
a lot of
more about,
visual
like-
novel style games definitely do. They keep track
Remind you of a
decisions.
choice that you made?
Well, yeah, they'll keep track of major plot decisions that you've made and
The
keep
thing
a
is,
list
Right.
of it.
Oh yeah, well they're supposed to, but like I'm saying
Yeah,
I
but
haven't
feedback.
ever played a game where somebody says something and there's a little blip that's like, by the way, remember you said this and that's why this is happening.
Well, I mean,
I don't
that
think
would
I've
be
ever seen
that would be
anything
every
like that.
Telltale game.
Telltale would like tell you that everything that you did is going to have a point, but then
Yeah.
they don't
Right.
go back through it. They'll be like,
So and so's
you
gonna
made a
remember that.
decision.
Well, I mean, yeah, they do that. They absolutely do that. And then, you know, they list those once you've done your episode, they'll list the major choices that you made and then give you a percentage based on what everyone else did. But
I mean, I think that since a playthrough is maybe like 3 hours, and if you've played through it once, then you're speeding through a lot of shit that's already happened. I don't think that you're gonna forget what you did really in
Okay.
that playthrough.
I
you know?
think you vastly overestimate my ability to remember things, but
maybe.
Life is Strange tracked all that stuff as well, apparently. So
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Jesse, can we talk about?
I think we
That?
can talk about it. We can't show anything till the 5th. But,
Okay.
Okay.
Dukes and I got to play Life is Strange, the prequel.
Just like a little smidge of it.
Just
Okay.
tell us some things.
What can you tell us without breaking
Yeah.
your embargoes?
You play as a blue-haired Chloe,
Mm-hmm.
and she's sort of finding herself. And Dodger, the answer to where she found herself, Dodger, is in very bad places. Someone, no name, made her.
Okay, look, we were playing, and Kat, the lovely lady who came in and helped us with it. She was like, just embrace your inner Chloe. And I was like, I'm so down to embrace my inner Chloe. And Jesse was like, yeah, okay. And while we were playing, Jesse wanted to make like good rational choices. And I was like, fuck you. No way would she make that choice.
Why did you only have one computer for the two of you?
Because we wanted to play it together.
Yeah.
Oh,
We played all of Life is Strange together.
Oh, okay.
So we played
it's
the
a single
prequel
player game.
together, like in the same
Alright,
room and
sure,
like make
whatever.
choices together. And he would go to like make a normal choice that a human who doesn't have anger issues would make. And I was like, no,
Hold
no.
on. Not anger issues, just non-psychotic issues. Some of the things you want to do are like,
I think
Oh
we've
my
found where the
God.
entertainment value of
No.
that series came from, and it had
She
nothing
doesn't
to do
put
with
up
Life
with
is
shit.
Strange.
yeah, but like, there's some choices that a human being, even if they don't put up with shit, would be like, maybe I don't almost kill that man.
No. Embrace your inner Chloe. We got to be Max for too fucking long, Jesse. You got
did
into this sweet artistic state of mind. That's not who we are anymore.
Decided at the
We're
end,
Chloe.
if I remember
This
correctly,
is
we
why
decided that
fandom scares me, by the way.
I'm Max.
It's the
and
hammering on the
Dodger-
desk part in
Chloe.
particular.
So yeah, there'll be a video of that on Saturday when we're allowed to show you guys the video, and we
Yeah,
it-
Okay.
definitely watch it.
All right. Good to know then. So we learned nothing, basically.
yeah, we're not going to tell you anything. We're not allowed to, but
Okay.
just know.
Then let's
Here's
move
the
on.
thing we can't say because it's already everyone knows that. You play as Chloe, It's about Chloe meeting Rachel and the prequel story there. And more importantly, there isn't any time rewinding or like magic stuff. But there's something, but they won't tell us what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes it significantly less interesting to me already.
I mean, if you were really into Life is Strange, like if you really enjoyed it, I think for both Jesse and I, it was just really fun to revisit those characters, but from a different perspective, like to play in that world again as Chloe was enough for us to be like, oh shit, this is fun, you know?
Okay.
And what we played, we met 2 characters again, technically 3, but 2 characters that play a huge role in the first game. And we were like, oh, and then to see the differences in what they were years before and what they became, like, ooh. So it's one of those things where because it's a prequel, it suffers from the terrible problems that happen with like Star Wars, for example, where it's like nothing's bad's gonna happen to Obi-Wan. We understand that, right? But so Chloe's fate is predetermined. But it's nice to see what will happen.
I mean, a lot of bad things could happen. You know, not everything has to just involve being murdered. Bad things could still very much happen.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of things. Like there's something that we discovered. We were like, well, hold on, what does that mean? Because no matter what the result happens, but like you're going to try and prevent that. So what, like, so it's that kind of path. Like, how do we fuck this up along the way? I think that's interesting to see. No matter what we try in the end, even though we want to save this poor girl, no matter what, it's like, nope, this one thing's gonna happen. So it's like, oh, okay, where do we go with this? So I love that kind of stuff. That's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with that game for people like TB who are saying, you know, okay, yeah, maybe this would be fun for a few minutes, but I need there to be something intriguing about it if there's no time travel, right?
Well, what we played was pretty intriguing. I mean, the stuff,
I thought so too.
Yeah, the stuff we played was super interesting, and it was like 30 minutes, but the time flew by like that. And I liked what I played so far, so I'm super ready.
Well, what did you do in those 30 minutes, though?
Are we allowed to say?
If you're not allowed to say, let's just leave it for when your video comes out. Because otherwise,
we went to a place and did a
trying
thing.
to get information out of someone that won't give it to us, so there's no point.
Yeah. We got in hella trouble. And by the way,
I don't know what you mean. We didn't get into any trouble. We were Chloe.
That's right. We evaded all trouble.
Okay.
I want to point out for the record, even though it's not in the video, and I wish I had gotten it, the graphic settings, the high setting is called hella. And I think that's amazing. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
That's true.
All right, they get a point for that. We'll have to now come up with the objective definition of what the hella preset means and whether or not they managed to attain it. So before we move on to talking about a game that we have actually played and can talk about and get Julia in on this, the comic you mentioned, it does exist. It was eventually dug up. It's called Freshman. It was actually co-created by Seth Green. And the character you are talking about is Long Dong, his superhero name. He has an indestructible 15-foot long penis.
So he just goes around startling women, people, but distracting them in situations with.
Well, I imagine Lob is just tripping over his own wang. I mean, that's too long to be practical. With it? Well, I mean, it's indestructible. You might as well. It's probably whip. You could whip it good with that. Could be used as a weapon, but I think it's kind of like cape. I mean, it's like capes. You don't wear a cape because
I just remember that his dick also like is invincible.
What,
it is indestructible. Yeah. It is invincible.
I'm so glad. Oh my God, y'all found it.
But like, how did you even walk with that? Well, that's the problem.
That's the point.
It's impractical, and we've seen what happens with the superheroes and the capes in Watchmen, and why they don't wear capes anymore. They just get stuck indoors and then shot. Stupid. Don't wear a cape. Ms. Julia, what have you been playing over the last couple of weeks? What's been going on?
I tell you what, I've been meaning to play RlME for ages, and it was one of those ones that I just didn't get around to doing, and I've been playing that, absolutely loving it. Because also it was kind of like, you remember like The Witness? I was really excited for when The Witness came out, and then basically it was just a series of really boring puzzles.
Line puzzles.
Yep, I concur.
But the context.
Why is the same fucking puzzle over and over again, but slightly different?
But the context.
Sorry?
The context. The world provides the context. No, I don't agree with that argument either. Don't worry. But that is the argument that they did make in defense of that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, like RlME just looks. It's kind of like obviously like a cross between like The Last Guardian and like the look of the Witness. I mean, it's really not Last Guardian. Ico is what I mean to say. It's
Yeah,
like, even the character is
that vibe.
so similar. But I'm like loving. I'm loving the. I'm really loving. I think it's just because we literally have no sun in the UK over the summer. Anything that's kind of got like sign in it. I'm like, I literally just want to like go into a video game just to play.
Just to avoid that, yes. We lost you there for a second.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
The other thing
Missed
Britain
a lot
also
of
has
keywords in there.
is bad other bad thing Britain has is internet connections. The US and Britain sort of share that as a problem. But
No.
in terms of the actual gameplay itself, like, did you feel the puzzles were varied enough and challenging enough on their own, or was this very much like this is a beautiful journey, reference, and that's why I'm playing it?
I mean, I thought like the curve at the start was like super simple and like really straightforward, and I didn't really mind that because I was like, it's really pretty here. I just want to look at things and the sunshine, and now it's night, and I like it. And then they sort of escalate. I mean, it's nothing too ridiculous. It wasn't as much as the Witness, where I was just like, oh my god, if I have to look at this all over again, and obviously not to the extent of. I remember the first time I ever played Myst. Right.
Yes.
And I've been playing loads of point and click adventures, like as a kid, and being like, I'm amazing. I've like finished all of these.
Naturally. Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey, you should play Myst. And like me and my mate went and got Myst and started playing it. And if you don't know anything about the first Myst, you literally, you're on like an island and there's no one explaining anything, and there's just a bunch of crap, and you don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do.
And it only gets worse when you go Riven and onwards, by the way, in that regard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And like we literally played it for I want to say like 25 minutes, and we're just like, what the bloody hell's going on this island? I don't understand. And then turn it off. So there's not that. So I'm still enjoying it. It's like I quite like that kind of nice. It's like my Sunday morning game. I get up and play it, and it's like really chilled, and it's nice and relaxing. And even if you're getting stuck on a puzzle, there's somewhere nice, and you can kind of go and explore. And I don't know. I kind of like that. Maybe I'm just getting old.
I feel you. It looks pretty. I don't think I've seen anything from that game until right now.
Well, it had some launch problems. There were some issues with its DRM. It was using de novo, but apparently RlME had implemented it really badly to the point where it was throwing 300 DRM check calls a second out, which was causing performance problems for a lot of people. Wow. De novo, when implemented properly, generally doesn't interfere with performance at all. RlME implemented it real badly, and as a result, that happened. So, yeah, they eventually took it off for pretty obvious reasons. And usually the policy for companies that use de novo is they'll use it until the version gets cracked, and then they'll just take it off. Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty much a mess.
Did you guys play any of Pyre yet? I've been playing that a little bit this week.
So I just before the show, I finished up my video on it. I've sort of got my conclusions on my opinions now, and now the rest of the game is just going to be for me to finish, because I do finish all the Supergiant games. Those are the ones that go out of my way to finish. I don't get to finish many games these days. I just couldn't get on with the chat at
the beginning. I was getting really annoyed. I was like, stop talking, get to the meat. Stop talking.
I mean, it's a wordy game, and
it's very wordy.
That's not going to change as you go in, and it's a big split for a lot of people on Pyre, because up to this point, Supergiant hasn't made text-heavy games. They've in fact been avoiding it. They have taken that text and the exposition they have put into an narrator, and it's effective. But they decided this time, we don't want to make the same game that we just made. Yeah. They do use the announcer in a way. Don't want to really spoil what it is, but no, the story, it's all text and this fake language. There seems to have some
Arabic. The weird alien language where it's like, I think it sounds like Italian.
I'm not sure. I know like a lot of the mythology and stuff seems to be based in some ancient Arabic stuff, kind of Middle Eastern. I don't know what the language specifically is based in. Weirdly enough, at some points during the game, someone switches to English out of nowhere, and I believe that is a part of it. But the irony of the whole thing is there's a lot of reading because your character is literally called the Reader, and reading in this world is illegal, punishable by exile, possible death. So the fact that you can read actually gives you a very rare skill, and it seems like they've sort of implemented that in a ludonarrative way. But the explanation they gave, which I think is fair, is that if you look at the past few games, they focused on a very, very small cast of characters, and they delivered that narrative in a real linear way. There might have been that deception and that illusion that you were able to change that narrative, but it really just meant they recorded extra voice lines for certain situations, or if you did something in a different order, or if you kicked over a particular box, which gives you this illusion that it's like, it's my story. It's not. It never was. Bastion wasn't your story. Transistor definitely wasn't your story. It ends in the same way. Pyre, much more arguable that it is your story, especially with the number of characters you get. And there are a lot of them. And you interact with a lot of different ones, and you do it multiple times. So...
Because when I was playing, I haven't played like huge amounts of it, but obviously like, you get the option to kind of go like different routes. How much does that actually affect you later on? Like, when it says, do you want to go through the Forest of Doom or whatever, or go through does it actually make that much of a difference?
It does. So to avoid spoilers as much as possible, bearing in mind that literally everything is considered a spoiler these days, and I will avoid story spoilers, I'll say at some point during the game, it goes a little bit Final Fantasy airship on you.
Okay.
Well, Jesse, I mean, you know that when you get an airship in Final Fantasy, suddenly the world opens up, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
It goes a bit Final Fantasy airship on you.
So is that? So are you saying this is a like good thing, or are you saying that this is a
bad thing?
The ability to move around very, very quickly, and it like makes the world smaller.
I don't think it makes the world smaller. I think it lets you go back to those areas you were in, explore them, tackle the teams that you've already tackled, and there is a reason for doing that. See how they've evolved their tactics and their gear. Visit different places, try and get different items. New stuff pops up for you to explore, little points of interest and everything, so you can explore lore there and all that sort of thing. But it's necessary, and I can't tell you why, because that would be a spoiler, to do that. And
as long as as long as it's not bravely default necessary, where it like forces you to do that. Well,
forces you to do what?
Like redo stuff.
Well, you're not redoing anything. You're going back to previous zones in the world.
I'm still gonna play. I've only played 6 minutes of this game. I'll tell you what I did. I loaded it up, went into the settings, went through all the different settings, changed the volume of the music, then proceeded to listen to the music for 5 minutes as two people sang, and I was like, "This is beautiful. All right, cool."
It's really good.
Yeah, and then I was like, "All right, I'll get back to it later." And I haven't played it since, but I need to.
You do need to.
I bought it and downloaded it, and I have not opened it yet.
Because I think it'll be right up your alley, Jesse. You're somebody that likes really delving into lore, right? And you're up for reading that lore, right? And you're up for maybe be having a big book that's in your black wagon that is full of that lore that you continue to collect, right?
I mean, is it in story important lore, or is it lore that's like, and then in the year 1412, some guy did a thing? Does it like affect the game? Is what I mean.
The stuff that's in the book doesn't. That's all history and world building. The stuff that's in the conversations and the text with the little hyperlinks, that's all story important.
We'll have to see exactly how this works, because sometimes lore is great and sometimes it's just superfluous BS. So we'll see.
I'll be interested in seeing your opinion on that.
Yeah.
But
I was also like, I'm really surprised how like when actually playing like the main kind of gameplay, how suddenly I just felt like completely disconnected from my body, in that all of a sudden, like, you're having to control these like different characters, and I'm trying to make them do different things. And it's like the learning curve was like fine, but for some reason, as soon as it kind of threw me into like the first battle, I was just like, and then just was completely terrible at it.
It can be
quite funny though.
it's a tricky. I mean, it's a real weird system because like on its surface is real simple. The depth is it's like a fucking Mariana Trench. Like the amount of depth this combat system potentially has, which actually makes it tragic that they don't have online multiplayer, only local. You can play the battle mode against AI in skirmish, which is pretty cool. So that gives you a bit of longevity there as well. But frankly, you could easily do this competitively. It's good enough. It's got the depth, the strategy, and the skill to be watched as a competitive esport if you wish. They evidently didn't want to invest resources in making it that way, which I think a lot of people are going to appreciate because some people really roll their eyes whenever the word esports comes up when related to games. Like, oh, great, another esport. Like, but no, as its battle mode is a genuinely good competitive sports game with RPG flavor. And there's a lot of variety in there based on who you choose to bring in. And like I said, there's so many characters, and every character has its own set of abilities and unique traits and quirks that can be further enhanced by leveling up and getting these very effectual masteries for them. So you'll develop these strats as you go through, and you might find a favorite. I like running with a pretty fast team. And previously I ran with my little imp Tizo. Give me a plush of Tizo. What the fuck are you doing, Supergiant? Do you not like money? Make a plush of Tizo. It's a little imp. It's amazing. Do it. This sea nightworm thing, who he has one eye, but his eye turns into a heart sometimes and crazy stuff like that. I think it's Sir Gilbert is his name. And he sort of slithers and can sort of go, create a water stream that you can go under and teleport to the end of that water stream and do stuff like that. So that's a very slithery kind of fast character. The imp is one who can fly and then explodes, sacrifices himself to take out 2 other members. But when you do that with a certain mastery, when the imp explodes, it leaves behind a little teleporter. And the other end of that teleporter is just behind your pyre. So what you could do, fly it in the middle of their defense, if a player's playing too defensive, blow it up, immediately switch to another character, grab the ball, go straight through the teleporter behind your pyre, end up right in front of theirs, dunk.
Wow.
There is so much you can do with that. And I was running those 2 little dinky ones with a big demon woman. She's your Brienne of Tarth. You'll get her right at the start, Jesse.
Is that the character with the huge antlers in the
yes.
pictures?
Yeah, she's a demon.
Already,
she's basically Brienne of
my
Tarth.
favorite character.
Yeah, she's a very fun character.
That person looks dope as fuck.
Yeah, and demons, they move very slowly, but they have these huge presence auras and can cast these really big attacks. And they're, in her case anyway, I haven't got another demon companion yet, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one more. When you jump and you land, because of your weight, it knocks everybody back. It slams the ground, basically. So everybody moves, handles, and plays differently, and it's the combos of those things that make for the interesting strats. And the really cool little idea that when you go and dunk the ball into the opponent's pyre, the person that carried it into the pyre is also banished. So it becomes a 2-on-3 situation. So you can't use the same tactic over and over again. Because once you throw it in, you're immediately done on that. But if you do a slightly harder thing, which is throw the ball into the pyre instead of dive into the pyre, then your guy doesn't get banished. But throwing it in's much harder because it can be intercepted and you've got to charge up to do the throw and stuff. There's so much going on with that system.
It's really, really complicated. And I just end up finding myself just even switching between the characters and stuff like that. And because the maps are kind of really small to start with and like everyone's kind of on top of each other. And yeah, it's like really intense.
It is
and
intense.
Most of it was just like panicking and just be like, just run with the ball.
Definitely panicky stuff sometimes. Yeah, that definitely happens. I will say that. And I've thrown away victories that way. I really have. It's been stupid, but it generally helps either to just learn that 1, 2, and 3 switches between characters, and if you have the ball, that automatically passes to the character, and it's going to go there unless someone jumps to intercept. Or I think it's space is just switch to next.
See, my problem was I was playing it on PS4, so it's even. I think
you're playing on controller.
Yeah, so
which works fine too. I played it at PAX on controller. I had no problem with it.
Oh, you're just obviously a superstar.
Oh. You see, now I look like a dick. Thanks for that.
Too late.
I'm now a Callous Phallus, thanks to you.
Too late.
I feel like we should make T-shirts of that.
The Callous Phallus, yeah. We
Yeah,
pull
in
it
like
off.
big block lettering, Callous Phallus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But despite you sort of struggling with the combat system, you're getting something out of it, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I think sometimes like by the time like you end up like getting a game, and a lot of the time obviously I'm like playing it to review for Radio 1, and it really changes your perspective of how you play a game when you know that time is limited. Because instead of just getting into the game and sitting down and getting a drink and a biscuit and putting your feet up and being like, let's let this wash over you, you're acutely aware that you've got a short amount of time. And especially like I was saying before even we went on stream about Radio 1, in that I have to sort of editorially pick like what I think is the most suitable or like the best game of the week, because I have such a short period of time. So I end up having to play a lot of things a little bit to kind of then work out which one to play more of. And it's sort of, you just don't have that nice, like, the leisure of time to really like treat a game with the sort of full respect you want it to, just because you're like, right, I got an hour.
Yeah, you really don't.
Yeah.
And I think something like Pyre, particularly with like all of the art, the fact that every level and its background, I would love a framed print of.
It's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful. You can't do it justice. Like, if you take I took a 4K screenshot, and some people are like, yeah, it's a shame about the artifacting that the PNG and IMGA put in it. Like, yeah, you're right. IMGA ruined it. It's like, you need such high image hosting resolution to do that shit justice. Like I say, I want a fucking oil print of it.
Yeah. It's fucking beautiful.
And I really would. Supergiant in particular barely sells any merch. And unfortunately, as I found out, I was trying to buy a couple of prints of, there was a concert poster from Transistor I thought was really good, and I think it was a Bastion one. And the shipping cost for it, despite it being shipped from America to America, was literally more than the posters. And like,
what?
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I hope they can find a different supplier and make some other stuff, because they have so much potential, especially with this game. Like, there's so many cool characters. And the masks. Selling the masks. There's potential for that, too.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah, I would totally buy the masks. 100%.
Yep. Soundtrack is incredible on this one as well. Yep. I'd say a lot more variety than Transistor and Bastion did. Not necessarily better, but a lot of different kinds of music. And you can listen to either a lute version, played on a lute by the lone musician in your Black Wagon, or you can just listen to the regular version. Yeah, I've bought the soundtrack already because, of course, why not? Like, it's just that damn good.
Yeah, I had to when I was downloading it. I was like going to go play it to have a quick go on it, and I left it on the menu screen for a bit, and then got distracted and was doing something else, and then was just really feeling like I was like, oh, what is this?
I actually did that as well, because I had it in a windowed mode and I was doing something else, and then it's like half an hour had passed, and it was actually okay. It's just just because I'd just been listening to that soundtrack, and that was actually fine.
Yeah, it's sort of like a DVD. Do you remember you used to fall asleep to like DVD menu soundtracks?
Oh, so they had really good loops.
The next day, it'd just be like 20-second loops of this like terrible noise.
Well, they had to have a really good loop.
Dreams.
Yeah, because a lot of them really weren't good loops. They just like stop awkwardly and then start again. I think the engine noise loop for the Next Generation remastered Blu-rays is really good, and you can use that as ASMR very easily.
Yeah, I just remember having like really weird dreams, depending on like if it's like Family Guy or something, and it was really trumpety, and you had like really messed up sleep because it's like bap every like 30 seconds.
That would drive me insane. Yeah,
you're really tired and you can't be bothered to turn it off.
That's less ASMR and more like mental indoctrination and torture. I think at that point that might be against the Geneva Convention. But I'll just say this, my video's coming out later tonight, and sorry it's as late as it is. I was quite literally scared of making a video of that game. Because of the history that I have with that company and how radically different this one is to their previous ones, and how difficult some parts of it are to really grasp for some people. So it's been a very intimidating game to play. But the thing that I will say beyond everything else to people is this game is brave, it's innovative, and it's interesting, and there's nothing else like it.
Cool.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are some deal breakers for some people. Now, there are. Like, again, if you're not into reading a lot of text and having a lot of conversations, don't.
Yeah.
You're
Because it's also
probably not
still
going
quite,
to.
it's very like the difference between there's so much text in between kind of all the matches. And I was just, you know, when you first start playing a game, you're like, yeah, they're setting all this stuff up, rah, rah. But then that's actually the pace is still quite wordy in between, right?
It is. Yeah. You've got the hold down space option, which rapidly skips everything. But it's also, I think, you know, the flip side of that is that unlike the other games, you can take this one at your own pace. You really couldn't do that with Transistor and Bastion, honestly. So I think I'm kind of glad of that. But it's gonna be divisive amongst people that like that stuff. But I think it also demonstrates, look, Supergiant isn't a one-trick pony, and they're not going to keep making the same game. They're not going to rest on those laurels. They're going to keep experimenting, and thank fuck for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Pyre. Like I said, Jesse, I really want to see your playthrough of it. Because I think you'll be, if you are just better at digesting and interpreting lore than I am. And I think I'm going to understand.
You're the lore whore!
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you?
Like
I'm
you
just
scared
thinking-
yourself,
I
Julia.
just think you're gonna be able to present and interpret that stuff better than me. Before Julia made this about sex again.
Well, I
Just
have to
saying.
be consistent.
What can I say? I put out for lore. It's a thing.
Yes. The Callous Phallus is an eternal specter around this podcast, always floating behind us.
Yeah, tell me you wouldn't want a lore whore t-shirt. You would.
There's gotta already be one, right? Gotta already be one. What happens if I Google that? Did I make a
Lore
horrible
whore.
mistake?
Tell
Lore,
me they
lore.
exist.
There's an urban dictionary definition of it,
Oh,
apparently.
tell us. Is it just
so-
Jesse's picture?
No. And also, this person can't spell obsessed, doesn't have two B's in it. But someone who is obsessed with background lore about something, usually video games or movies. Yeah.
It's like they
okay.
knew you.
All right. I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing, unless you annoy the shit out of people with it.
Also, implication is that I'm doing it for money.
Yeah, the horror
If
aspect
anything,
is
I'm a
weird.
whore
Like,
slut. Like I just put
Yeah.
out because I'm interested in it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you're not turning tricks on it. That doesn't make. They only picked it because it rhymes.
Profit off of this.
It's
I don't have a
clever
Lord
because it
Daddy.
rhymes.
Who
It's
I'm like,
clever
ooh,
because it
Lord
rhymes.
Daddy, take my money. No,
Tell me how the
I'm a
it's
Lord
clever
Daddy.
because it rhymes attitude ever worked when nursery rhymes exist.
lore pimps walking up and down like,
See,
oh,
in
Lord, got my money. Like, ooh, no, Lord Daddy, I don't got. Yeah, no, that doesn't exist.
now, see, the way that I perceived the concept of a lore whore is
Yes.
like the person that you're buying the game from is like a person who's approached
Lord
you.
Daddy.
No,
Oh,
no,
Is that the Lord John?
That's
This
the
is
lore.
difficult.
And
This is
then,
okay.
but no, the lore that you get out of the game is your payment.
What?
Yeah,
What?
because
Yeah.
you're
Tell me all the information. What was he doing 100 years ago? Oh, you
Yeah,
filthy
yeah.
slut. I bet he was.
But that's not. But that's
Oh
no.
my!
That's not how that works. If you apply this to sex, then that's just saying like the act of sex equals payment. Which with me, that's totally true. That's totally like when it comes to me, it's totally
No, maybe you're the guy in the car who's like looking for people who are peddling games.
And that's even Lord
You're
John.
the guy in the car
terrible
pulling up to a corner.
None of this checks out. This is-
Yeah, you just roll the window down. There's someone in like what looks to be a nightgown, just a very, very large book. And she's like,
Ooh,
book-
I've got some really.
what are you
You wanna
looking
see
for?
what's on page 67? It
Hey,
gets
what you looking
really
for?
in depth.
For baby, it's like, oh, you know what I like? You got the
Pull around
early.
the corner over here. And then a cop comes up and he's like, knock, knock, knock. What are you doing in there, son? Nothing, sir. Just looking over the floor. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, that's totally legal and not at all dirty. I'll see you around. Have a good one.
That's pretty much how it would go down, most likely. Yeah,
And he's like, oh,
then
well,
you
continue
resume the
That's
reading
very
of.
nice.
Yeah, here's the
Stay at school.
Yeah,
early
keep it up, kid.
history of pre-dynastic Esperia. You know,
Oh,
sometime
God.
in
He'd
2057.
call up his friends. He'd be like, we got a 512 over here. A guy's reading with a book in a car, and then the other cops show up. They're like, "My God, you're the future. You're gonna save this country." And I'll be like, "Thank you, sir." Go back to my reading.
It's like, hey, yeah, I'm glad you're encouraging literacy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You should keep doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
Also,
that's
do
what
you
the law
know
was all
that
about, right?
You can go to your local library, and there
Words
are
about changing the world
many
for the better.
services at your local library, and you should encourage further funding of your local library. Did you know a lot of them let you rent video games? Did you know a lot of them let you get audiobooks out and actually borrow Kindles and e-readers as well? And
You know that libraries still exist?
yeah,
Go to a library.
yeah, and they're actually a big deal. A lot of them have 3D printers now, and they're actually very nice. Yeah, in America. Despite them trying to cut funding, libraries in this country do incredible services, and we should all support them, no doubt.
Yeah.
Depository.
Did you know a library card is
mate?
free? Just go do it, my dude.
Did you know a library card is free? Did you know there's free? They give you free books. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Why would they do that? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Support
You
your,
just have
support
to,
your local libraries.
stack up and bring stuff back when you're done with it.
Yes.
Or they will charge you 5 cents a day. Watch your ass. They're
It's
gonna
true.
come for you.
I kept a book for 7 years. That wound up being a big charge. But
I'm-
Did you actually
I
pay it back?
$5.
yeah, of course I did.
Really? After
Yeah.
7 years? How did they?
Yeah, because I
Find you.
couldn't go back to that library,
Well, yeah.
and I needed to go back to it eventually.
Yeah.
I couldn't
As soon
go
as I
back.
pay
'cause they would be
$100 and
"You have a
$100
fucking
in
book that's been out for 7 years. I was like, I'm so sorry.
$100 a year in taxes for your library. That is a
Wow.
bargain.
Mm.
That's a bargain. I would pay far more, and probably do because of my bracket. But there you go. That's something I will happily pay for, as beneficial to everybody. All right, we're gonna take a break, and somehow, at least right now, anyway, at the current time, we are still sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% of your first order, ladies and gentlemen, at a free trial. They've been supporting the Cooptional podcast for the last 2 years. We use their services in particular, and our latest ad may very well be my finest work. And a lot of it was done at Jesse's expense, which is great. So enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Our custom Squarespace ad will be back after the break. Talk more about video games we've been playing this week. You're watching the Cooptional podcast. Do not go anywhere. A word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great regret that I am here to announce that CoxCon 2018 has been cancelled. Here are the reasons that led to its tragic death. Jesse has abandoned the convention because of his newfound Hollywood fame and won't be mixing with anyone with less than 1 million Twitter followers. TotalBiscuit has pulled out due to a 7% chance of Krendor showing up next year. Quote, that's 7% more than I'm comfortable with. Dodger pulled out because you must be this tall to get on Jesse's wild ride. Strippin pulled out because he believes Telford is so far north that it's found beyond the wall and is a wildling stronghold. Jenna has pulled out so that she could go out cosplaying with Sean Spicer instead. The Completionist pulled out because he's too busy trying to beat every item world in Disgaea and may never be seen again. Sips. Who the heck is Sips again? And this was NerdCube's first ever convention, and as a result, his last ever convention. The CoxCon communications director has been fired. This is a truly tragic set of circumstances, and we will need a new convention. Something which succeeded where the old convention failed. And the first step towards doing that is a rebranding with a brand new professional-looking website from Squarespace. For the security conscious, we are launching LocksCon. You'll be able to see the latest and greatest selection of locks alongside our collection of antique security mechanisms. All the while, Squarespace keeps all of your security up to date with the very latest security protocols without you having to lift a finger. Not your style. Okay. Well, how about SocksCon, a convention showing you the latest and greatest in foot-warming, toe-containing, obnoxiously patent technology. Perhaps you make your own socks or other craft goods. Well, with 10% of your first order at squarespace.com/cooptional and a free trial, you'll be able to import your products with ease using a .csv list, even if your list is currently on another service. Alright, look, I get it. A lot of people really aren't into socks, and that's okay. Somebody I know really is and can compensate for your lack of enthusiasm. So how about this? RocksCon! Rock out with your cocks out at RocksCon, while uploading your work into beautifully presented collections on Squarespace and selling your music directly to your listeners via Squarespace's easy-to-use and powerful e-commerce platform. You can even use Squarespace's new tour feature to promote your upcoming gigs, handle your merch table online, and keep all of your new fans up to date with your latest events. Well, these were all great suggestions, but we admit we have no expertise in any of them, and while we could easily use Squarespace to create a professional-looking website that pretends we do, we need to focus on the one thing we're good at. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you MoxCon.com. MoxCon is a fake convention, and we've created a fake image of a fake Squarespace website based on a real Squarespace website using a very real Squarespace domain that we set up in just minutes. MoxCon literally does not exist in any form. Or does it? Isn't that the point? If it is specifically a fake convention about a real convention, with a fake website pretending to be a real website, then does that not fulfill its entire purpose? Does that therefore mean that MoxCon is 100% real? Did you just witness a philosophical paradox? That is not for us to say. But what we do know for sure is that you too can create your very real or very fake convention and its beautiful website by starting your free trial today and getting 10% off your first order at squarespace.com/cooptional. There's a con for everything these days. Some of them are cons, and then some of them are cons. Coxcon.co.uk was a website created on Squarespace. Lord knows Jesse doesn't have the talent to make something that slick. Coxcon is dead. Long live MoxCon 2018, a fake con about a real con that is both a con and a con. There's only one thing for sure in this world that could never turn out to be a con, and that is where you should make your next move with Squarespace. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast. We're going straight through to the end of the show because Dodger needs to leave right on time. So that was your break. If you didn't go pee, well,
You fucked up.
yeah. Let me introduce you to the concept of a bottle and no
Tricky.
dignity.
Or you could just miss like a second of the podcast to go pee.
I mean, you could
That's-
also do that. That's
Yeah,
that's
just have
actually
your
not.
speakers on and go.
We
take
don't
just-
generally talk about
Pass that
anything
shit.
important anyway.
Mhm.
And honestly, if you miss any of the show, and if you happen to be a Twitch subscriber to twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit, you got immediate access to the VOD anyway. Or just wait a couple of days, it'll be on YouTube. So it's all good.
Damn.
It's all fine.
Word up.
Yeah.
I think at least TB, Jesse, and I have all played Gigantic. Yeah.
Yes, you were sponsored to play it, as I recall
I was
correctly.
sponsored to play it. So
Jesse,
full
was there a
disclosure.
sponsorship agreement on your side or not?
Huh?
I'm asking Jesse if there was a sponsorship agreement on his side.
No.
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 Cool.
It's always weird to get into these situations because we're like, it makes some of us feel like we're being played for fools. It's like, oh, great. So Gigantic's giving you a
I
bunch
played
of money.
for free.
But yeah,
What?
but we just kind of wanted to play it because we like it. Well, fools to be fucking us, innit? But it's kind of how sponsored streams have made things now, and
Twitch Illuminati.
it's getting
I'll
a
never
bit
be a part of
getting
it.
a bit weird. But
Never be a part of it.
well, whatever. Yeah. So at least there's
You
at
don't
least
have to
one.
talk about it if it's
No,
gonna
no, I do want to talk about it. I just find the situation so odd, and it keeps coming up like more and more these days. But yeah, just we got the disclosure out of the way for that, so that's good. So some of you are probably surprised by the fact that Gigantic even still exists because it has been around for a long time. It
been
has
in
had
development for ages. Yeah.
it had a rough backstory. Like someone wrote about it, and I think it was maybe PC Gamer that wrote about it, and their studio basically had no money. Like they were like, the studio's done, we can't pay any of you. Then everyone just showed up the next day and kept working on the game,
Wow.
which was
That's some fucking dedication.
some pretty. They wanted this damn thing done. Like they were very very insistent on it. So it survived. It was on the Windows 10 store for a while, which is generally not a good idea if you want people to actually play your game. And it was available on Xbox One. Then they moved it to Steam, which, as it turns out, was a very good idea because people want to play it now. It does have a couple of those little weird holdovers as a Windows 10 game, like it doesn't have a proper full screen mode, you're forced into borderless. Hate that, don't really know why. And I think as a result of that, you've got that weird effective 60 FPS limit as a result of the way that they're doing that. They still need to sort that shit out. But let's talk about the actual game. Because certainly what I played of it, it gave me some awesome Dawngate-like vibes, which hopefully also don't include the game is going to shut down very quickly.
Right.
And it answered this consistent complaint that I've had for a long time that over the last few years, we've had a bunch of games with boring modes that haven't tried anything different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Sam play this game a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he really liked it. So, when I was asked whether or not I would want to do a sponsored stream for it, I was like, sure, because apparently it's pretty fun. Everybody I know that's tried playing it has had a lot of fun with it. I appreciate that it does the thing where, yes, you can choose your own upgrades. You can like make a build that you like, but it'll also just suggest shit for you. If you've never played that character before, you can just, every time you need to level up, just hold down one. And it's like, all right, we upgraded something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, great.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that was really nice for me as a brand new player. I think the game looks gorgeous.
I like the aesthetic a lot.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. And the first time that I watched Sam play it, I was talking about this on stream, but the first time that I watched Sam play it, he was in the middle of a game when I first tuned in, and I was like, okay, all right, yeah, this looks nice. And the first time that I saw the big like bird mom go and attack the snake, I was like, fuck, that looks so cool. Like, it just looks rad when the gigantic like deity characters like attack each other. Holy shit, that's animated so well. Yeah, so I think that it's really fun. I kept trying to play a sniper character. Don't know why the fuck I did that, because I can't aim for shit.
Well,
And
people move really fast in this game and have pretty effective dodges, so that could be quite tricky.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've never seen in a game like this, is that it has like a full dodge system. Like,
yeah, it's very active control. Like, if you compare it to something like Smite, no, Smite is about as straight up as if you took LoL but made it third person as you can get. Like, everything controls like you'd expect a character like that to do. This is more of a third person action game. It does have the cooldown based abilities, and it's got the ultimate and such, but the emphasis on a lot of jumping and active movement, and the emphasis on dodging and using stamina, etc., is more like a third-person arena action game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's kind of explain the whole gigantic part of it, because that's both the namesake and basically the whole point of the main game mode of this thing. And it's radically different to the vast majority of games that are either in or close to this genre. Now, some people are going to argue, it's a hero shooter. And some people are going to say, it's a MOBA. It's what it is, MOBA.
First person or third person MOBA, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really kind of neither, but here's what the game mode is. So you've got your teams, and each team has a kind of gigantic god type thing. And in the current version, it's either this big owl mama as you called her, or this sort of evil kind of snake ghost thing. And you can see them on the map. It's very clear where they are. And you are asked, go get me power. Go gather power for me. So you go and do that. The way you do it is by going to the points on the map, of which, there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Depends on the map. You go to the map, and what you can do is, if you stand on the point, you can pick up and collect the power. And that power goes into the bar, which is at the top. You can see on the top of the screen right now the two pictures of the little deities, well, big deities. When one of those bars reaches 100, the deity attacks. It gets the fuck up, stops being lazy, flies or slithers to the other thing and pins it down. And during that time, you have a small amount of time to, as a team, go and attack a weak spot for massive damage. Yes, the references there will be, there's no giant enemy crab gigantic creature yet. Hopefully there will be at some point. If you do enough damage, bearing in mind the other team can do things to reinforce the shield on it, etc., it inflicts one wound on the character.
Once you hit 3 wounds, you win.
Yes. However, there's also like a hard time limit. So to stop these games dragging on very long, and they are quite fast-paced as a result of this, if it becomes a deadlock, it will all end in a final clash where the map rearranges itself, the two big beasties go and fight each other, and you fight to the death to decide who wins. So you're not going to get hour-long games in this. That's not going to happen. It's not possible.
I think the longest game that we had was a half an hour.
Yeah.
And even that, we were like, that was a long-ass game.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, there's a couple of other cool things you can do with those power nodes. Like, you can go steal power from enemy nodes and stuff like that. You could summon creatures on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like, I believe it's a team. The team itself has a pool of resources that can summon creatures. And there's different kinds of creatures that you can bring in your loadouts. And then you can power those creatures up. So you can make an even better creature. And they all have different little skills. Like, one might heal, one might wander to enemy points and sabotage them, one might give you, like, increased radar range and stuff, and...
yeah, I think the 3 that they have right now is a healing one, kind of a scouting one that tells you if there are enemies nearby, and then a guardian one that puts up walls to make it a little bit more difficult for the enemy team to move around.
Yeah, there's a few more that you can unlock beyond that.
Yeah, and then... the way that you level them up to level 2, which makes them much harder to kill and stronger, is by using points that you gather personally from attacking the enemy team.
Yeah, it's like a focus bar.
Yeah, you can either use your focus to use an ultimate, or you can use it to upgrade a creature.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're like communicating with your team, you can be like, hey, can anybody upgrade the creature? And some people might be like, oh, I shouldn't do it because I think that my ult will really come in handy when we get into this
there's
situation.
decision-making to be made there.
Yeah. So you have to kind of decide whether or not you think that your ult is going to come in handy, or you plan on using it in a certain situation. And if you're like me and you kind of forget that you have your ult ever anyway, I just constantly upgrade creatures because I'm like, I'm not going to remember to use my fucking ult. So
yeah,
it's pointless.
You got to defend those creatures as well. If the enemy kills the creatures, they earn a lot for doing that. So it's like, yes, they can defend the points to keep your power safe, but if you don't defend them, you know, they might be able to take down one hero on their own, depending on how upgraded they are. But if it's a concerted team effort, you're going to lose it. So, but yeah, there's quite a few decisions to be made there. As you said, you've got the leveling up of skills that just happens with experience, and you get to usually take mutually exclusive choices. It's a bit like Heroes of the Storm in that regard. And your abilities, you could take them in a couple of different ways, depending on your particular preferences. I played this guy who's like a sort of fire shaman, I guess. And one of his main abilities is to charge up Fireball. And I think one of the picks that I could take for it initially was you could charge it up to a 3rd stage. But the other one was like, it'll create a kind of shield that reflects things while you're doing that. And you can focus on different skills that you want to. You know, you could focus on your primary attack or your other skills, get your cooldowns. And there's a various interesting viable builds. And you can pick very quickly in-game. It's just a quick hotkey combination. It seems to work pretty well. That's about like half ranged, half melee in terms of the roster. And people ask about the business model. It's a free-to-play game. It has to be, really. But it's got a $35 buy everything forever option. So like Smite, which I think is the best possible compromise for a game like that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it has, that's the only way to do that in which it would possibly survive. And they probably learned a lot of lessons from Battleborn not surviving.
I think they've already added a new character since the game has come out. So they have like shown that they're adding shit over time.
Sure.
So yeah, and it's got a good, I think that these games always need to have some kind of a daily challenge aspect to them as well. And there's these cards you can draw, I believe. Yeah. Possibly called fortune cards or whatever. And they sort of they're like a tarot card kind of a thing.
Yes.
And
that's a daily thing.
Depending on the card, it'll give you a certain amount of in-game currency if you complete it. So one that's a bit more difficult or very character specific, like you have to, you know, make 10 nemesis with this character, like that's going to be much more difficult.
Yes.
So you get a lot out of it versus ones that are a bit more common or easier. You won't get as much, but you'll probably get it quicker. So it always, every time you do a card draw, it'll give you 3 different cards and you can say like, oh, this seems manageable for me, and then add it to your list of challenges for the day. Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about doing that bullshit in game. That's all out of game with your own account management. So you won't be like, there's a surprising lack of bullshit once you get into the game, because you set all that up beforehand, which is super smart. So Jesse, what's your experience of the game been since you've played it as well? We were trying to get around to streaming this together. We never quite did, but I know you have played it.
I think it is. Here's what I think. I think that I enjoy the fact that it is not a MOBA, and that it is requiring you to do small tasks per level. So if you want to build up defenses or you want to go collect points, like there's different things to do. With that all said, I think it's awesome. I think it's super fun to play. I love the different variety of characters that they have that you can be, and how it's not. They're the tropey ones, but there's some more like outlandish characters. My big thing is because of what the game is, and it's not a MOBA. I guess that's a turnoff to a lot of people. Like finding games sometimes is difficult, is what I'll say. I just don't know if the player base is there yet, or if it will be there.
It's definitely been having some issues in that regard. If a larger streamer picks it up either because they're sponsored by it or just genuinely like it, I know that Lyric has played it several times as a result of him just genuinely liking it. That gives it the boost, but it's going to have to find that audience. I mean, I never had problems finding matches, I'll say that. But
same.
It's going to be things like time of day, where you live, region, etc. It's entering a very competitive market, and it's also trying to convince people that what it is offering is different enough from other things, but also familiar enough not to be scary. There's the big fucking problem. Right. People like playing stuff similar to things they already like.
I do think also for anybody who might be concerned about that, I thought that the tutorial was very clear.
The tutorial is excellent in that game.
I actually really liked the tutorial for it.
Really well designed, like taking on a lot of kind of unfamiliar and weird concepts that people would not necessarily have known about or are counterintuitive to how MOBAs generally do things or how Overwatch and hero shooters do things, and explaining it very well with great voice acting, awesome music, and really good presentation and tutorial mission design.
Yeah, or you often don't find like fantastic tutorial. Like, I hate, you know how you like, it's like when you get a bit of tech, you don't ever want to read the manual, and it always feels like that with tutorial modes, or they're just too slow, and then by the time you actually get to the file, you can't skip it, and then by the time you actually like get to playing the game, it's just so frustrating. So it's quite nice to actually hear it's got like a good one.
It does. It has a very good one. It seems like, again, sort of easy to learn, hard to master with an in-depth game mode, and the more in-depth the game mode is, the less you have to rely on making your character super fucking complicated to actually keep the game interesting, in my opinion.
So I keep trying to think about this game in just why, because I believe it to be a really solid game. It's very fun.
So far, my experience of it has been exactly that.
And I keep trying to think like why the reception of it has been lackluster, and I can't for the life of me. The best I can think of is very similar to Heroes of the Storm, in that it requires teamwork to get stuff done.
It does.
And most people view that as a bad thing in MOBA-ish games, where like people are
Which is weird because all of the MOBA-ish games require that.
Well, and that's why people tend to stay away from MOBA-ish games, and they play League instead, where they're like, yeah, one person can dominate the game and that's how you win. And everyone thinks that in their mind they're the one person. So they
think they're the main character in the anime.
Else.
Yeah. Which they rarely ever are. Possibly, I think a lot of it's just straight up marketing issues. Like, this is a game that dropped under the radar. Most people thought had been cancelled. Has gone through various different publishers. Arc is now publishing it. I mean, Microsoft was heavily involved with this game. I don't know if they even still are.
It started getting like even more and more confusing, I think, where there's just, I don't know, like we're getting kind of all these previews. We can have all these different things like ahead of time. And then I was thinking this about the Long Dark, which is supposed to be out, should be out or something like that.
Yeah, it was in early access. It's out and it's coming out on PS4 today or tomorrow, I think.
Like basically I'll start getting really confused because I think like, wait a minute, I've played that was ages ago, and then you know it's on like these different things, and then you're like, well, what bit did I play? How much of the game was it like a good? Yeah, it
where is it now really compared confusing.
To where it
was?
There's a million things.
How much have they reworked?
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that it came out because I think there really was a ton of misinformation about what was going on with it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of speculation that it might have been canceled became like a rumor that was pitched as true, like, oh, that game got canceled. So when it did come out, people were like, wait, is that the same? Is that a different? What game is this?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Doesn't help.
This was a game that was at PAX in 2013 as like a
with a huge booth.
Yeah.
With a
It was at
huge
2013.
booth.
2014. Like it's been it's existed for a while and then just was gone.
This is hardly the first time we've seen this. I mean, do you remember Firefall? That did the exact same fucking thing. You know, huge con presence for years and years and years. When it eventually actually came out, nobody fucking noticed. They thought it was gone. It was dead.
Right.
And you think about how much, you know, in terms of like games coverage, you know, how many people are kind of talking about games now and all these different, or there's so much information that you tend to almost like just get like one line or like one bit of information from one place. And then you know, there's like just so much of it going on. Yeah, you do that. Maybe it is a rumor that just sticks in your head. And then,
well, yeah, because you don't have time to bother to get it corrected, you know? And a lot of people, you know, they'll then have their little cognitive bias where they'll say, right, well, maybe I had a grudge against this game because it was initially a Windows 10 exclusive and it was only in the Microsoft Store. And it was announced back when Windows 10 had a much worse reputation than it currently does. The Windows 10 store still has a bad rep, and rightfully so. But that game's now on Steam. Ergo, that whole thing's irrelevant. But people, you know, I have sort of a vested emotional interest in a game like this failing because it's like, fuck Windows 10, fuck Microsoft, despite them actually not really being involved in the game in any way anymore. Microsoft's logo isn't on the gigantic website. The only thing is there's a Windows 10 logo down the bottom, but no Microsoft. I don't think they're really involved in it anymore. Like, it's Perfect World and Ark and Motiga now. And there's all people, oh, fuck Perfect World, because they did another thing with another thing at some other time at some other place. And all this other, it's like, God, games have a lot that they have to fight against now to actually get noticed, get a presence in the market and a foot in the door and compete for the mind share of a lot of people against a lot of other games.
Every time I hear the term mind share, it's so apt. It's like so true. Just like fighting for space in your like
in
just
the brain.
Perception. Like
yes,
for you
in
to
your
just
perception
even
of the
be
world.
aware of it. Yeah.
Yes. And it would be a shame if this went down. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen it. But what I've played of it so far, I think it's great. They seem to have a good, solid development plan going forward. It feels good. You know, they got 600,000 people to install the thing on Steam in a couple of weeks. You know, obviously it's free. The question is, like, how many of those do you maintain? How many of those do you need to maintain? I mean, right now, current players, as I speak right now, is 4,500. Like, that's okay. Especially if you compare it to fucking Battleborn that has 119.
Oh, Battleborn. Oh,
Battleborn.
Yeah.
So, and they sent the press packs that they sent out for Battleborn, like they clearly spent like a bunch of money. It was like this beautiful case with all like these little figurines, and like it was just absolutely gorgeous, like the dream thing you get as like a games journalist. You're like, I love this is amazing. And then
Bribery,
it was just timing.
Yeah.
Oh, the timing.
Yeah, it was bad.
The timing was so harsh. So harsh.
Yeah, no, and just to repeat what I said, it's 4,600 currently playing on Steam, source steamcharts.com. The interesting thing about it is they peaked at 8,000 on July the 23rd, which I think lines up possibly with the PLiBG stream. And then they dropped down to the varying between 3,500 at the lowest points, 5,500, but they've been very stable there for the last few weeks.
Well,
whether that's because of more streaming and sponsored stuff, or whether it's because this game's actually sticky and people actually come back to it, I don't know. Are they continuing to keep playing it? Or are they just replacing the people they're bleeding off with more new people that they're getting from these sponsored stream deals and stuff?
It's a great question. But
right now, it's perfectly healthy. That's a good number. Doesn't have to be huge. But that's a fine number to play a 5 versus 5 game mode game. Not a problem. You can totally do that. And yeah, like I said, I do enjoy it. And I like new things. I like interesting things. I like things that don't constantly repeat the same thing over and over again necessarily. That game mode is good. And
I find it like, do you find like the more and more like people are vying for your attention and like the kind of more and more games that come out, I'm now getting like really snobby about stuff. And it's almost like if it's not like a completely new experience every time you play a game, you're a bit like, well, you know, this has happened before. And I'm like, it's like you can't like keep reinventing the wheel every single time, but like you just, I don't know, you just sort of, I don't know, starting to expect more and more from gaming experiences.
I think it's our perspective as people that work in the coverage industry versus your average consumer, that's always going to be a fundamentally different thing, you know? When we have access to every game that exists and we're being bombarded by them on a constant basis, yeah, we absolutely do look for the stuff that's new and interesting, and we have probably played more games than the average gamer has. We might not be good at them, but that might also be because we play 20 new games a week. You know,
for 20 minutes.
Yes,
and then
exactly, for 20 fucking minutes. Whereas the average consumer, they're going to buy a game, they're going to fixate on it, they're going to stick with it. And a safe bet is to buy a game that uses a lot of mechanics and ideas that a game they previously enjoyed did in the past. So that's why, you know, Call of Duty sells well every year. That's why Battlefield sells well every time they bring it out.
Gaming's expensive, you know, especially like the kind of big titles, you know. I mean, God, I can't remember like if I was like a teenager or like in my early like 20s or whatever and spending out that much money on, you know, like a few games a month, that would never happen. I was always down computer exchange. You know what I'm talking about? Secondhand.
Absolutely. Go trade it in for the dodgy people that say, oh, it smells like cigarettes, so that means it's an extra 50p, mate. Extra 50p on that. And go buy some dodgy DVDs. They don't look real.
Good times.
And it's totally different. If you go back 20, 30 years, gaming was like new game that you were interested in once every 3 months, maybe. And so you had a game and you played it and you played it and you played it and you played it and you had time to get good, like Crash, for example. And the games now people are like, this is too hard, bro. And you had time to get better at them before you moved on. And then slowly over time, it was now there are more consoles, and now there are more games. Now there are more games every week for consoles, and now there's a bigger PC market, and there's now there's just too much. And so I don't envy the average gamer having to make decisions, let alone spend hundreds of dollars if they want to play everything.
Yeah.
Dude, like the fact that when we were doing sound check today, TV was talking about how there were how many games in the release list last week? Just
about 220.
Yeah,
crazy. Like what the hell, man?
In a week?
Yeah, most of it was shit, obviously, but Jesus.
But still.
You know, and it's bringing up two things that are becoming progressively and increasingly more important. One is how effective your marketing budget and spend can be to cut through with sheer power of razzle-dazzle, shock and awe, and a big amount of money. And the other are influencers and tastemakers. The guys that look for interesting new things and have a platform with an audience that they can use to point them out. And those people are gaining more and more and more power.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I tell you, one of the best things recently that I got sent. Admittedly, it was a Sony product, so they could have spent a bunch of money if they wanted to. Was for oh my god, Parappa the Rapper. They sent a box. Did you see this? They sent a box. I don't know, how much do you know this game? You know this game, I presume.
I mean, I know what Parappa the Rapper is.
Ever made?
Right. Okay, good. We're on the same page. So Chop Chop Master Onion, right? Obviously, like one of the most renowned characters. So we've got this box, and it's like Parappa the Rapper, and I played this game to death. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get some cool like plushy toy or like something.
Was it just an onion?
It was a freaking onion and some felt and how to make your own Chop Chop Master Onion. It had like googly eyes and a little thing. But it was so clever because everyone was like, this is the funniest thing ever. And everyone's like putting it up online, and you know, because it's different. You haven't got to spend a bunch of money, you know, just to kind of get that sort of little bit of traction. But that stayed in my flat for quite some time until they were a bit like, why is this onion still here with a really long moustache? Can we please throw it away? It's quite long. I was like, but it's Chop Chop Master Onion. You can't throw him away. He's our sensei.
He teaches you how to rap.
You can't throw him away. What would we be without him?
How else are you going to get the date? It makes perfect sense.
Or like, also that game, why was he making a fish cake? But like a cake, not like a fish cake like you'd have in a restaurant if you haven't played the game. Like a nice looking cake, fancy cake, but with fish in it. And then you have to out-rap everyone because you need to poo. Do you not remember this?
That game made
that is
perfect
fourth
sense,
or
Julia.
fifth level in which you have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, and you have to get to the front of the line. You have to outwrap everyone in the front, and yeah. Oh yeah.
So you can poo because the cake didn't agree with you.
Because it was a fish cake.
Let me make this
followed
clear. Gitaru Man Lives is an infinitely superior game to Parappa the Rapper.
Gitaru Man is
Gitaru
the
Man was
best
mad.
rhythm
It's
game
better.
ever.
It always will be better. Parappa the Rapper doesn't hold up. Gitaru Man absolutely does.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. My favorite one is Jamalami.
Isn't that Parappa the Rapper?
No. Jamalami was the one where you're a lamb and you're in a band and you jam.
Ah, okay.
You're not
And you
rapping.
jam
never-
the fuck out.
Jam.
I've never heard of it.
Have you never played
I didn't own a
Jamalami?
PlayStation, so like,
Wow.
okay, yeah,
Oh my
Jamalami.
God, it's so good.
It was a follow-up to Parappa the Rapper. That's why I associate the two. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
it was
God.
so good. And like one of the tracks is basically a Foo Fighters song, and you're on a plane and you have to play your guitar because the guitar's in your mind, and so you have to land this plane using your guitar. It's the freaking best thing ever.
Yeah, that does sound like Gitaru Man. I wonder.
Wait, it doesn't have the widdly analog stick bit of Gitaru Man.
Yeah,
though. It's just
Gitaru Man is the
basically
Widdly
like-
analog stick bit, which is
Yeah.
good, I think.
It is good, although it was like I
I
used
just
to
want to
play
play
it coming
Gitaru
up.
Man now.
It's so fun.
I don't know what the best
They're
way to
so
do
fun.
it is. Apparently, Japan PS Plus got Gitaru Man Lives as a freebie in April. But it's PSP version. So, like, if you own a PSP or a Vita, you can go and play Gitaru Man, but otherwise, I think you have to go back to the PS2. And I don't know if that. I don't think that version's available digital on PS3 or 4. So,
One of the cool things about when they sent out the original PS3 test machines, like you remember like the original PS3, and it had like all the like compact flash ports, and it's a media hub and whatever. The original like PS3 test machine would play like all my old PS2 games. It's great because you're like PS3 didn't so well, so I still got like all of them. I still got it set up there, just in case. Never know.
I am watching this video of RlME.
I thought you'd broken. I thought your stream had gone because your mouth had been
There is-
open for so long.
There is a moment in which she plays a baby rabbit like a guitar.
Oh yeah, to get the kids to go to sleep. That's the best level because it's really fast.
Plays
It's like
a
the frog
baby
level.
rabbit. She's like, the guitar's in my mind, and the rabbit baby transforms into a guitar in which she then plays.
Yes.
This is crazy.
I
so good.
I think that can be topped by various Gitaru Man levels, honestly. Especially when the bees get involved with the bee trumpets and bee jazz. That's
jazz.
yeah, Mojo King Bee. The Mojo King Bee level in Gitaru Man is
Dude,
quite the fucking
Bone
thing.
Wrestle. The Bone Wrestle song is so good.
I've put it on the
Shit,
screen right now
that
for
game
the
is
PSP
so
version.
good. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't made another one.
Me neither.
That's-
Continue the
super
story.
fun. It's super fun, and like you never really get bored of like musical like rhythm games because you just get to know the songs, and then it's all like really fun. And yeah.
Well, I mean they may have limited replayability unless you're a big score attack person. But if you release a new game that just has a new soundtrack and new crazy shit going on in the background, then that's good. In this case, you're doing a battle against Mojo King Bee as Gitaru Man, and your robot dog is going nuts in the background. And the fucking guy in the bee costume is playing a giant trumpet, and there's dancing bats, and it gets weirder and weirder. Like it's pretty much a level where using your guitar to defeat alien motherships and fight for the military and all sorts of other crazy shit. It's such a good game. It's so
We
much
should
fucking
design
fun.
our own version of it and make it.
How? What would
I
what
don't
would
know,
we do?
with
how,
magic.
How would we do it better? We'd have to do it better than Gitaru Man or Jamalami.
What's the game that they're making right now that the Gitaru Man guy and the Parappa the Rapper guy are making together?
Wait,
with the
they're
rabbit.
working together?
What?
They're working
Oh,
together on a game.
Working
Shit.
together?
Yeah, we just talked
Chat,
about
what's
this.
the name of that game? It's
Oh.
you play as like a samurai rabbit.
It's called Project Rabbit.
There you go.
Wait, I
Rabbit.
remember hearing about that ages ago.
Yeah.
They just did a Kickstarter for it, I think.
Oh,
like,
that
Maybe
might
I'm
be the problem then.
imagining another game that had that.
Yeah,
had
how
rabbit
could they
as
not
well.
find a publisher for that, especially in Japan? I
It
mean,
got canceled? No,
What?
my heart!
No!
how are they not? How did they not find a
Oh.
fucking publisher to fund this? especially considering how popular both those games were in Japan. What's even happened to the games industry
you
these
watched the video
days?
that was released in June?
Yeah, that's what I've got on the screen right now. Oh, I've got the one out from May.
Against the snakes. It's so
yeah, it looks so good.
Is it called Project Rabbit concept gameplay video? But yeah, apparently it is dead. You're right, but
No!
How did you know that?
There is no justice anymore.
Project Rabbit Kickstarter misses its goal. Really?
Oh, how much were they asking for though?
Great question.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to fund it myself, but
I mean, I'm looking at the concept video and it's not exactly what I want, like out of a kind of Guitar Man kind of game.
They wanted basically $1 million.
Oh, right. Yeah. So they were trying to fund what was basically a AAA game off of nostalgia for two fairly niche titles that mostly did well in Japan. That's never a good idea.
Boo.
Wow.
Yeah, don't do that.
Man.
Yeah, don't do that. Oh, well, anyone else played anything else this week before we sort of move on to our main topic of discussion and news for the week? Anyone want to throw anything else in there?
that's pretty much it for me, unfortunately.
The only other thing that I played that I haven't had a chance to talk about is Kingsway, I think. I don't think that I got to talk about that at all.
Yeah, we had it up on the show last week because the roundtable people had played it, but I'd like to hear your take on it. Go for it. Kingsway, the weird... It's an operating system, but not really.
Tell me everything.
Okay.
So it's a
neat.
fantasy RPG that's set up like an operating system. So it acts like you've like booted up a computer. You have windows like in the desktop, and one of them is your map. One of them is like your items, but it all operates like an old Windows OS.
Okay.
And
that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's aesthetically it's really cute. And so you get dropped in and you're basically told like go east, and east is where a castle with a king is, and that's basically all that you know is like you need to go east. The game like pushes you that way over time. Like there's just like this weird like squiggly shadowy bullshit that starts creeping up on you like get moving fucker. And yeah, it took me a few tries to get into a good groove with it. I died really fast the first few games. But the final game that I played, we got to the very, very end and then I died, which was like disheartening. And at the same time, I was like, man, that was really fun. We got really far that time. So there was also a pretty good sense of accomplishment. I would love to see what the actual end of the game is like. But yeah, I think that it was a really cool concept, and it doesn't take a super long time to play. But if you're the sort of person that gets frustrated by having to restart a few times to really understand the most efficient way to play it, then I can see people getting frustrated with it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun.
So is like the main sort of like core of the gameplay, is it text? What are you dealing with? So if you're in this like setup,
I mean,
like,
there are
what
pictures. You know, if you have a look at the stream right now, I actually have some footage of literally the game right now, and it basically they made a fake operating system, a fake classic like Windows 95 or 3.1 style operating system, and the whole game exists inside that in different windows.
Right.
So like if you want to change the music, there's a fake music app.
There's like a Winamp on your like on the computer, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's emulating one of these older Windows 95, Windows 3.1 RPGs, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, I love the idea of it.
Did you guys ever play Reigns, like the app game?
The swipe left, right? Yes, Reigns is
I
excellent.
love that game. We still play that when we're at the airport almost every time.
I die. I'm apparently I
all
just
about
can't
dying.
keep people happy.
I think it's like 40 plus different kinds of deaths in this game. There's probably more since then. It's really good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I 100% have to play this game. This looks really cool.
Even just to give it a shot. The discussion they had with the roundtable guys last week about this is that as whether or not they should go more Pony Island with this and start to really fuck with you. Dodger, I assume you haven't. How much of that to that degree did you experience?
They fuck with you quite a bit.
Okay.
Because like you get to the point where there might be 10 windows open that have all popped up because of one encounter, and you're like, fuck, because when you first start playing the game, the very first like bad encounter that you have, you know, the monster that you're fighting, the window just kind of like floats around a little bit, and you're like, this is weird, right? Like you have to. It's not just sitting there. You can't just like click, 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 click. Like it's moving, so you have to make sure that you're following it in order to hit the right buttons. And then it gets to a point where it's like, there are some creatures where if you don't kill them fast enough, then they spawn something else. So then like you have multiple things that have all spawned all over your screen, and you're like, fuck, like which one was the one I was hitting first? Because I need to kill that one, and then I need to kill this one, and like, and then you start like way later, you run into like witches and things that where, you know, their little window is moving around, but also you have stuff coming from off screen, or like there are some dudes that cause like boulders to fall on you. So there are boulders constantly falling, and if you don't click the button on the boulders, then they all do damage. So you're trying to like kill this guy, but you're also trying to get rid of all of the boulders so that you're not taking extra damage. So it fucks with you quite a bit the longer that you play. It gets way more complicated, and super fucking frustrating. But it doesn't psychologically fuck with you. No, but it does utilize it builds on the base idea that it starts with of just like, these are windows that pop up, and it builds on that until you're like, there are windows everywhere, like fuck, and all of them are attacking me, and I need to keep all of them straight, and I need to know which one I was attacking first, and like
it's pretty neat idea. I'll give them that. Yeah,
it's cool.
It's cool that they did it. Yeah, I might try it out. Like, it doesn't look like it would actually be fun for me, but I might get a couple of cool nostalgia kicks out of it. So just sort of play it for that. There is one game I'd like to discuss before we do hit the news topic of the day, just briefly. Jesse, is there something really sad happening right now? Because I've just seen your expression dropping down to like,
no, I'm looking.
You're watching like dying kittens or something.
I was intrigued. I was watching a video of the game. I have a copy of it and I haven't played it yet, and it seems like it's right up my alley. And I
think you'd love it.
Yeah. I was just watching a video, and I was like, I went from like, oh, interesting, to like, I should play this. That's all that was. That wasn't a sad expression. If that's you haven't seen my sad TV.
Okay, so that's your sad face, duly noted.
Oh, I am ugly sad. I go full on like.
What noise was that? And can we remix it? If we don't have some kind of dubstep or drumstep remix of that within the next few weeks, I'm going to be let down by the internet. That noise, sample it,
before the drop, it goes, what was that? It's like, wow.
I would listen to that, to be fair. So
I know we've got a lot of talented people in the audience that will do stuff for no money. So, you know, it's a suggestion. We didn't ask you to.
So
it's
what
a
game are we going to move on to?
What did you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to very quickly talk about the game that we played on Co-optional Lounge on Sunday.
Oh, the super hot card game?
No, I'm not going to talk about that because that was a disaster.
Yeah, I know. I thought that's what you wanted to talk about.
No, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it. It's the single most obtuse, fucking unintuitive system I've seen. The rulebook didn't help. A tutorial video didn't help. None of us could figure it out, and it was an hour of us being pissed off. But what I will tell you about is a game that didn't suck. It did work very well for us, which is Role Player. I have the box right here. And like I've mentioned this a couple of times, it's the game about you compete to make the best pen and paper RPG character. And
that's right. You have talked about this before.
Yeah, and we played it. We played it on Tabletop Sim, and we had a really good time doing it. The point of the game is you start with, it's a big bag of dice. You start with a character card, which is the character's race, and there are different racial bonuses. You draw a colored dice out of the bag to pick a class card of that color, and there's a class on each side. So you could pick a 1 or 2. So I ended up being a halfling, and of course I drew fucking warrior. So I was either a halfling warrior or a halfling barbarian. Halfling being something that gets -2 to strength, so that'll go well.
Great.
That'll go well. So once you get that and you few basic dice and you get a little alignment card and a kind of backstory, which tells you, yeah, this is what your backstory was, and it's a separate scoring system by which it's essentially just a grid of colored dice. It's like, oh, if in this grid you get a purple dice here and a red dice here and all that, you get bonus victory points at the end. So there's different ways to score, and different people are playing kind of different metagames and strategies as you go. And the main game, after you've drawn a few dice, is every turn you draw the number of players +1 worth of dice out of the bag, and they're placed on these initiative cards in order from highest value to lowest value. But the sneaky thing about it is that the lowest value initiative card is the fastest and gets to go first, but also gets the lowest value dice. Generally speaking, to meet your stats goals, you probably want pretty high values. So sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I really want to go first, but I'm going to have to accept a subpar dice to do it. Or maybe I'm short on gold and I want to get one of the initiative cards that has gold on it. But if I do that, I'll get to move after this. So you make your decisions, you all pick which one you want. And then you have a market phase where there's a market of 4 equipment cards that consist of like gear and traits, basically, and abilities. And you spend your gold to buy them. And that gear makes you better. And they might give you, say, bonus to certain colors of dice, or an ability might make you be able to affect the board in some way, but also possibly changes your alignment, so you suddenly become evil for using it, and you maybe get a point penalty for that because your dude's a very virtuous guy. So you want to have something that you've got to do something good to really reset that. And your weapons are going to give you bonuses, and importantly, you can collect armor sets. And the more of a set you have, the bigger score you get at the end. And certain sets match up for bonus points for certain people. So, like, if you're a wizard, chainmail, nah, you can get it if you want, but you're not going to get the bonus stars from it. So, me as a warrior, I'm trying to collect the chainmail set. Maggie sees them trying to collect the chainmail set and goes, haha, I'm just going to buy that just to be a dick. And I'm like, well, fuck you. The next 2 pieces of leather boots and leather fucking girdle I'm having. I don't even care. You could choose to either buy a piece of gear from the market or discard something that's in the market for 2 gold coins. So you can sabotage someone else's buy for money. And you keep doing that until your character sheet is full, which means 3 dice in each stat line. And then you add them all up, just like D&D. And each character class has priorities. So as warrior, I'm like, they wanted me to have 18 strength. And if I had 18 strength, I got 4 victory points. Doing that as a halfling, real fucking difficult, as it turns out. Because even if I got straight 6s, I still have a -2, so I've got to boost it up in other ways. But you get to do things like manipulate the dice. Whenever you place a new dice, you can activate what's called a stat ability, which is on that row. And each stat has a different ability. Like one of them's take 1 dice and swap position. One is like, you could flip this dice up 1 or down 1 face, and all that kind of thing. And sometimes you want low stats. And as we turned out, the person that won, well, I won't spoil who won, but they went for a strat where they got a bunch of traits that all gave them extra points for having shit stats in certain areas.
Oh my god,
amazing.
Yeah. So he actually pulled off a strategy in which he won by being the worst rather than the best character.
I feel that's how I would win.
It was It was really fun. And of course, if you are somebody that already has some experience in pen and paper, and you're particularly maybe someone that loves the character creation aspect, it's an entire game about character creation. How neat is that? But it's a dice drafting and market buying game. We had a ton of fun with it. We'd happily play it again. It was really good. It's only just come back in stock physically. They only did a limited printing of it, and it pushed the price up to like £110 in the UK. But there was a new printing. I got it for $25, and there's a print and play version that's available on Tabletop Simulator that people can use. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. Just don't mention Super Hot the card game, because we did not. The VOD for that, if you're a Twitch sub, you can watch it whenever you want. The VOD otherwise is coming up Wednesday for Co-optional Lounge Role Player. Hopefully you enjoy that. Okay, let's get on to our main news topic for the day, There's not really been it's been one of those weeks, as usual. Like, not a lot of major game announcements, really. We've seen, like, okay, here's updates for stuff we already know about, etc., etc. Nothing really major, but the big kefuffle. It's a good word, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good word.
It's a kefuffle. This week has been around streaming. And since, you know, Julia, do you stream and no radio? Actually, radio probably does count, doesn't it? But
not like, yeah, I mean, I do like YouTube videos and stuff, but I don't ever like stream.
You don't do live streaming?
Not at the moment, anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Regardless of this, interesting, your perspective is going to be real fucking interesting on this.
Okay.
Because you have radio background far more than I do, but I also have some amateur radio background. And which means I also have a perspective on this. Yeah.
It's all the same.
It just means we never got paid and just sat in a really, really cold building at 1 o'clock in the morning outside De Montfort University. But, you know, fucking Demon FM and its studio of death on legs. God, I'm glad they demolished that. It was dangerous. Anyway, I think we actually nicked all of our equipment from old shut down BBC studios. It was all 30-year-old BBC equipment.
Oh yeah, no. I used to do work for a rock music station, and honest to God, all the equipment was so old. It looked like it had like Legionnaire's disease, just all over it. You know what I mean?
There was certainly something in it.
Hand gel immediately.
Yeah, insects in it and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to avoid naming names in this because we want to focus on the principles and the argument, not the drama. A lot of people love the drama and, well, they kind of suck, and we don't want to encourage that behavior. We've got enough drama in our lives as it is. Let's talk about something and try and get some ideas out. Yeah. So here's what
drama.
So basically what happened? What happened?
I don't want
it. As he sort of slyly makes hand gestures saying, "Give it to me."
What? No, this is international don't give me drama. I don't want. Save it for your mama. That was
too many hand gestures. Too many hand gestures.
Sorry that I didn't understand that.
It looked like semaphore.
Not fluent in sign language. Wow, semaphore without any flags. That would be really impressive. That's cool. He's invented a flagless semaphore. That's the future right there. We don't even know.
Forget mobile phones. They'll never catch on.
Absolutely.
Smoke signals is the way I tells ya.
Yeah. So the long and short of it, and we'll keep it short of it, is that a player was temporarily banned from PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which, if you don't know what PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is by this point, you're living under a fucking rock. It's massive, absolutely massive. And basically, he was accused of stream sniping a streamer. Yeah. And the games company decided that they would side with the streamer and ban the person who supposedly was stream sniping. Now, you might be wondering, what is stream sniping? Well, the terminology gets a bit mixed up because some people use the term for different things. Like, the correct use of the term is stream sniping is attempting by queuing at the same time as a streamer, usually using information got from their stream, to get into the same game lobby or game as a streamer. Now, stream ghosting is the act of, after sniping, usually, then using the information on the screen to cheat. To get information to know where the person is. In Hearthstone, you'd be able to see their hand. In poker, you'd be able to see their hand, which is why no online poker fucking ever would ever run their stream without a delay, because that's stupid, incredibly dumb. Now, PlayerUnknown posted a statement, and it said the following. I have seen the data the community team looked at before issuing the ban, and the ban was indeed justified. The tracking data shows that the player in question tried to join the same lobby as their target multiple times. While we understand we can't prove that this player was watching the target's broadcast, we see no other reason why they would be consistently attempting to be in the same lobby as someone who is broadcasting live other than to have an advantage of the game. Before I go on, you could see no other reason to try to get into the lobby of a internet celebrity who is live broadcasting. You can see.
Yeah, wouldn't you just want to play with them?
Yeah, but yeah, you could think of no other reason at all. None. But whether they're a fan and they wanted to get attention, maybe they hate them and they want to kill them. Maybe they just
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get into that game and cheat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your point.
And the thing is that like the statement admits that immediately. They cannot prove that the player was watching the target's broadcast. Now, it goes on to say, we have tracking in place that allows us to verify unfair play like this, despite what some players may think. For example, we can track when a player joins and quickly disconnects from multiple lobbies, only staying in a game when they're in the same lobby as their target. Okay, we get that. We are constantly developing new tracking systems, blah, blah, blah. We generally don't mention them publicly, except in this case you did, as it would give valuable information for those trying to cheat the system. Then they say no one gets special treatment. If the data doesn't back up the claim, no ban is handed out. The community team is committed to ensuring everyone, no matter who they are, has a level playing field when in the game. There are a lot of things wrong with that. They didn't. They literally admitted in the statement that they didn't know that.
But I mean, how did the streamer obviously go like, there's this one guy who keeps coming in and killing me and it's really annoying? Is that what the
basically
point was?
My understanding is that the streamer and his told his fans to go and mass report the person. They did, and the person got banned.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only evidence they really had. You can't know that. You can know, and I agree that you can know that someone is trying to get into your lobby.
Yeah.
If that is somehow against the rules of a game, I would like to know what the fuck you're thinking, because no other game has done that. And in fact, there was a statement in 2012 by Blizzard when someone brought this idea up of, someone's watching my stream and could see all my stuff. And it's like a map hack. And Blizzard basically turned around and said, you chose to broadcast that information publicly. Suck it up, Buttercup. If you don't want to do that, then don't broadcast yourself publicly. Implement a delay or cover up parts of your UI for the stream so you can deny them information.
In a game like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, where you start with 100 people, I think, if you are consistently killed by the exact same person out of 100 people, I think I would jump to that conclusion as well. Or is that not the situation?
Well, I mean,
is that what happened?
I don't know how many times the guy got killed. I'm reading the news articles about it, and I'm not noticing that. I don't know how many games he managed to get into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times the guy was killed. So it's hard to say that.
Yes, Jesse?
Maybe
Yes, Grandpa Jesse, what are your feelings on this?
Everyone else, but wouldn't a delay simply resolve this issue?
Yes, it would.
Thing?
Yes, but that's what started the whole conversation of would that hurt your stream because you can't interact with chat as easily.
Which, yeah, there are several issues with that, and between the three of us, I would say that we do pretty well for ourselves on Twitch. Let's just put it that way. I don't stream very often. When I do, I get a lot of viewers. I have a long history on this site, as in before the site existed. I streamed on Justin. I streamed on Livestream.
Justin.tv.
And before that, I streamed audio. I've literally been streaming for basically as long as streaming could possibly be a thing. Mm-hmm. I have a decent amount of experience in this matter. And I will say that if you genuinely yourself believe that it is impossible to make an entertaining stream without you being able to, in real time, directly interact with your chat, I think you might not be a very good presenter. You might not be a very good streamer. Because the chat can help, the chat can add, but an over-reliance on the chat isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
I would say
Jesse.
But I'm not I think in the end, the conversation rounded off in the way that I think I'm about to say, which is that every streamer is different.
Sure.
Right. I think that the way that I stream would be extremely different if I couldn't have easy conversation with my chat. But to say that it's the same for everybody, I don't think is accurate at all.
No, it's not. It definitely isn't. And the people that I object to are the people who are saying that it is totally impossible and there's no big streamer that survives that way. I'm like, hi? And also, yes, there fucking are. God, I remember when Faker first went live. He said nothing. Nothing. He didn't interact at all. He couldn't even speak English. Huge numbers of viewers. I mean, that shit still happens.
Yes, yes, Grandpa
There
Jesse.
are various ways to be interesting and talented.
Maybe I'm old.
Yes.
But I feel like this is less about you as a streamer and what you're good at, and more about what games you decide to play on your stream.
That's also a big factor.
That's also a huge variable, for sure.
Big factor. Because what you said, Dodger, is entirely right. The thing is, most of the games that you play, you would never be at risk of being sniped anyway.
Very true. Absolutely true. I totally agree.
You maybe have to adapt your style of streaming to the kind of game that you are playing as a result.
There are plenty of huge streamers that play exclusively hyper-competitive multiplayer games.
And if you do...
if that's all that I did, I think that I would consider that. But that's literally never gonna be me. I'm never gonna be that person. So I don't know what I would do. But that, like, looking at it from the outside, that seems like an obvious...
One would think. And there are a couple of other, if we look at that statement, there are a couple of things that don't really line up with what they're saying here. Like, for instance, that they're talking about we want everybody to have an even playing field. Well, guess what? If you're a streamer, you don't have an even playing field. You have a chat full of people able to help you out whenever you forget an item, or if you miss, there was a guy on the horizon, I just missed him. The whole chat then yells at you in mostly real time. The delay on a partnered stream can be as low as 5 seconds. Like, there's a dude over there, or you missed an extended mag, go back for it. The kind of help that you would never have on your own. So you're already, it's already not an even playing field. Streamers already have an advantage. And you can even go as far as to start to make arguments that actually having a few thousand pairs of eyes backing you up in a multiplayer game is actually an advantage and a form of cheating.
This is true. Jesse.
Yes, Jesse.
I'm old.
I'm old.
Maybe instead of wasting time, you could just get to your arguments, because we know you have them.
But what if you were a hyper-competitor gamer? Instead of getting your chat to report a person, you just found a way not to play with that person anymore, or block them, or there was a feature that allowed you to be like, I don't want to deal with this. I feel like there's other solutions.
Well, maybe one, like, I don't know, adding a delay or using an overlay to hide all the server information, or using an overlay to make sure that you don't indicate when you're joining a server. Maybe having...
People
like that
overreact to stupid stuff on the internet all the time, and this is just another example.
Jesse, you're old. Untrue.
Add it to your list.
Yeah,
All right,
but
my
chat interaction. I want to know how much chat interaction can you have in a hyper competitive game where you're supposed to be focusing on the game exactly?
That's also true. Yeah.
Like, I was thinking that too, because I interact with my chat a lot, but if I'm in a game where I'm really focusing, I'm not looking at chat ever. Like, I'm not. I'm out of it, right? Until the game is done. And then I'm like, oh yeah, chat, what's up?
Yeah, real talk. Go look at these like hyper competitive players, even ones who are just kind of competitive. Bullshit are they like, hey chat, what's going on over there? Okay, I'm gonna play now. Like, that never fucking happens. They are like looking at the screen, playing and talking to whoever's on comms with them, and they're half the time they're like, okay, get him from behind. Bullshit are you talking in the chat? Don't use that as an excuse just to cover your own ass. Don't do it. Maybe you're dumb. Maybe I'm not old.
Damn.
That's Jesse.
I don't, when it comes to those big hyper competitive games, I don't believe chat interaction during those moments is really a thing. After the game, sure. In the lead up to a game, in the drafting phase, in the slower starting part of a game, sure.
Absolutely.
Can you do it with delay? Yes, you absolutely can. It's really not much of a problem. When I think they're talking about, well, delay ruins chat interaction, what they really mean is the donation messages and donation reads pop up late. And people get a little bit upset about that.
Maybe.
So maybe what
I think you're right.
what they actually
hadn't thought
mean
about
by
that.
interaction is these people will stop paying me as much money for attention, which
I think
could
you
be a
did
problem, certainly, for people.
You did a poll.
I did a poll, which obviously is not scientific.
Yeah, it just basically asks your viewers, like, when you're in a stream, do you interact with chat and how often do you interact with chat, right?
Yeah.
It was like never, always, sometimes, and almost never.
It was basically, it was my Twitter followers. So, like, bear in mind, not everyone who follows my Twitter necessarily watches my Twitch stream.
Right.
Now, I have a lot of Twitter followers, and also to suggest that all of my Twitter followers exclusively only watch my Twitch stream would be an insane idea. So the final results, I did a 3-day poll, 25,000 votes, give or take. And this was the question. How often do you as a viewer on Twitch interact with chat? 10% said every stream. 28% said some streams. 31% said almost no streams. And 31% said never. Now, obviously, it's my audience. They may have been conditioned a little bit differently. But, of course, you'd imagine most people don't just watch my stream. They watch other streams as well. Now, I don't do a lot of chat interaction. I don't do donor shoutouts. I don't do sub shoutouts at all. So but that's just my stream. You know, when you're done watching my stream, you might go watch Strippin's or Dodgers or Jesse's, and they're all different in the way that they do things. So while that might not be a scientific poll, it's an interesting piece of information because there are some people who genuinely believe that the chat experience is integral. It's vital. The word vital has been used over and over and over again to the idea of chat. It's vital. Vital. Now, some people have said, well, it doesn't mean interacting with the streamer. Oh, well, if it's just interacting with other people in the chat, the stream delay literally doesn't affect you at all then. The only thing a stream delay would affect is the interaction between the streamer and the chat. The chat and the chat doesn't matter. This could be a show from yesterday. Doesn't matter. If you've got a group of people in the chat, they can chat with each other. They're all seeing the same thing at the same time. Literally irrelevant. And Julia, your experience when it comes to streaming is the old kind of streaming, as in over the radio waves. Now, radio sometimes has call-ins, but radio has not been ever reliant integrally on an interaction between a radio host and their programming and the audience. Ever.
Well, I mean, obviously like on Radio 1, we'll still do kind of like shout outs, people kind of texting in with like different stuff, but obviously it's not the whole basis of the program. There will be specific features and moments within a particular show that have that interaction. And they're a lot of the time they're kind of few and far between, you know, or like they'll have a certain period of time that's requests or out of a 3-hour show, it might be a certain little period that will have that interaction because and you got a lot of stuff to get through, man. You know, there's
you've got actual content. Like you have a program that you've planned. You don't just turn it on and go. And those shout outs, they're not time sensitive really, are they? Like you don't have to give them out within 5 seconds of receiving them, right?
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, they all come through on like this sort of like cart system, and then they basically go and they pick out the ones they want to do. So like the normal setup would be like, oh, we're going to do this competition or this thing in a minute, play a couple of songs. Oh, we're doing this thing. What are your thoughts? Here's the thing. Would you like to call in, play some more songs with no interaction? And then you kind of go to the actual bit where you actually either get people on the air or, you know, you read out sort of what's been going on. So it's quite regimented, you know, in how it's done.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I understand that Twitch has sort of brought this new level of interactivity as a possibility, but it certainly doesn't mean that every stream has to do it. It certainly doesn't mean it's vital. And some of the most successful things we've seen on Twitch are things like esports tournaments where there is no interaction between the content producer and the audience, and things like the Bob Ross Marathon, which is literally a man that's been dead for like a decade. And he certainly is not going to be interacting with his audience very much. That I can tell him. Those damn vodcasters! Driving all our small streams
green.
Taking up space.
Painting the clouds purple. You crazy bastard.
Yo, Twitch chat, like if these marathons have taught me anything, Twitch cat can meme all
Twitch
by
cat.
itself. Twitch
Yeah.
cat can meme.
Yeah.
Twitch cat.
Hashtag
cat.
Twitch cat can meme.
Yep. And that stream
Can meme.
delay doesn't affect that in the slightest.
They
'cause
can meme all
everyone's
by
getting the same.
themselves. They don't need you.
Just bear that in mind.
It happens so fast.
So
yeah, and especially if you're on like, a really popular stream anyway. How do you even read it? It's so fast. You can't.
all the time you can't. That's why they're doing that whole. They tested that whole streaming emote thing, where all of the emotes sort of streamed up in real time on the side, and the actual text was separated from it, which is a possible solution to that. We'll see what they can come up with.
What?
Yeah, you didn't watch the stream where they tested that?
No,
No,
that sounds
okay.
awful.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, it might be, but also simultaneously, it might be a lot better. So, emote spam makes chat unreadable in many cases. So what they did was, if it detected an emote, it would add an emote kind of to the stream of emotes that would all scroll up the side. I believe Facebook Live has already done this with videos, where if anyone does a reaction to it, it sort of streams up like that. And the actual chat with real words in it was kept separate from that.
I would hate that. I don't want that.
I mean,
I'm sure you'll be able to turn it on and off, but I don't want that.
Which probably won't be true because it's Twitch. But yeah, I mean, if I didn't have sub-only chat, I'd run that in a heartbeat. But I have sub-only chat, so I don't have the spam problem. But for for something like a tournament, hell yes. Like you can't get a word in edgeways. It's not possible. So separating the emote spam from everything else, and having the emote spam sort of be a real-time stream it's kind of indicating the overall feelings of the crowd. It's essentially like virtual cheering.
But
I
if
think
you're trying to make a goof and the goof requires words and emotes together, then your goof is ruined.
I think the whole point.
Chat, I will never ruin your goofs.
I think
Vote
that
for me.
I think just to point out, I think the whole point was if it was an emote only post, not
Okay.
Right.
yeah. And there's probably like a ratio. It's like, hey, if you post like 8 emotes in one word, they might just throw the emotes up there. Anyway, this thing's still a work in progress and isn't even fucking implemented yet, so maybe still panicking about it. But I want to know from each of you, should a game developer take proactive steps to protect a streamer from stream sniping to the level of temporarily banning or possibly even permanently banning another customer for stuff they have admitted they can't prove happened? Now, they can prove sniping to get into a lobby, they can't prove the motivation, and they can't prove whether or not that person then went on to watch the stream to get information. They can't prove any of those things. Bearing all of that in mind,
Yeah.
is it in any way the developer's business to start going around banning people for that?
Well, I was gonna wait.
Okay.
You're all too polite. What happened? We started this
think
show
we
with
all
just
started-
dicks,
We all
dicks,
started
dicks.
to talk
and
at the same time, and then we all politely pulled back.
That's the
at
voice.
same
All right.
time.
Okay. Okay. First person to raise their hand gets to speak. Go. Get the conch. Who has the conch?
Me.
You have the conch. Go.
Okay. I feel like dealing with stream sniping and ghosting is a fairly new thing to deal with for developers. For a game that's as big as Pub is, I think that they're still trying to figure out, like, how do we make sure that this game stays fair? In what way can we be involved to try and keep people from doing this? And I think that it's going to take a decent amount of trial and error on their part if they want to be hands-on that way. You
Can
can
they just
say,
issue like a warning or something like that rather than actually banning someone?
I think, I would think so. The fact that this guy
Yeah.
got banned straight away without so much as a warning was pretty.
I totally agree. And I don't think that the way that they're going about it right now is good necessarily, but I
no.
think that they are trying to figure out the right way to do it. Because they got thrown from I'm a modder that some people know to holy shit, I'm the
I have
biggest
$100
game on
million.
Twitch.
Yeah.
So trying to figure out how to maintain that and keep the toxicity down and try to keep everything fair, I'm sure is a fucking difficult job. So,
I'm sure it's especially difficult if a lot of your big streamers also act like gigantic dickheads on stream in front of 30,000 screaming teenagers. I wonder if that has any influence as to whether or not people start to act like assholes in game.
But then
We're not going to police that there because they're making us some money.
If you look at Riot and how Riot sort of dealt with all of that stuff, I mean, some of the videos, honestly, like I watched some of the stuff about how they reduce kind of like toxic behavior and stuff like that. It's utterly fascinating.
Riot's done some pretty clever stuff, like
and
hiring actual psychologists.
Stuff.
Yeah, which is not what these guys are doing.
It's yeah, of course. But then I don't know, maybe they've been sort of influenced by that. Like, you know, Riot's very proactive about that. So they're like,
they might have missed the point.
That's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to have a really hard stance about these things, you know. I mean, I don't know. They're probably just trying to like you're saying, babe, it's just like trying to find their way, but not doing it.
Yeah, and the problem with trial and error is if it results in casualties along the way of other customers, then that to me is not acceptable. You shouldn't be playing trial and error with people's accounts.
But it's hard. It's hard as well because I think that people have problems with an extremely hands-off approach as well.
Yeah.
Because then you get into a situation where it's like, I've reported the same dude 8 times. Overwatch. I've reported the same dude like 8 times and they're never going to disappear because reporting seems to do nothing, right? Like there are lots of people who say that kind of a thing with Blizzard games. So whether or not there's like a mid ground and developers currently trying to figure out what that middle ground is for all of these sorts of problems and whether or not they're connected in a way and whether or not they can be dealt with in a similar way.
Okay. Jesse.
Well, I want to say, maybe I'm no, I think the concept of just banning someone without evidence is I don't agree with that, but at the same time, it's the dev's decision, and so you know they'll live with whatever consequences they make, and the fan base will as well. And there are gonna be some fans that are thrilled, and there's some that won't, and that's just life, and they'll get over that, I'm sure. The thing that I think is interesting is going back to what Blizz said, which is like, get over it, bro. World of Warcraft. Blizzard bans people from World of Warcraft all the fucking time for shit that they're like, you did something. And like, hey, what did I do? They're not going to tell you. Like, that happens all the time. So companies do that shit. They just don't do it for like stream sniping in this scenario. So I feel like every company has its own little weird shit that it does, especially in its drive to keep a game fair and keep a game equal. And I think in this case, you're looking at a company that saw a streamer getting sniped and was like, we have to deal with this immediately. And their options were do nothing, which means the streamer and the streamer's fans see nothing happening, which means that your game looks like no one cares. Or you deal with the problem and you upset the guy who was playing, and then you have this little firestorm thing, but you keep your game intact and people still want to play it. You can't win a situation like that. It sucks. But that's what I think it comes down to. I
mean, I think you can win the situation by not kowtowing to streamers as much as PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds currently is. They realized that a lot of their money was made off the back of these people. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on Twitch has resulted in millions of copies worth of sales. I have no problem saying that. I have no proof of it, but you can just see the numbers. It's very much a game that encourages other people to get on the gravy train by watching famous streamers play it. The developers of PlayerUnknown obviously want to protect that gravy train because these people are acting as the biggest free marketing that the world has ever seen for this. And of course, some of them are in sponsorship agreements and all that kind of thing. They're doing so, they're giving them an inordinate amount of power. They're going up against the very thing they said in the statement that everyone's treated equally, which is not true. And I think that eventually that's going to come back and bite them in the arse. And I think that if you're going to, either you engage directly with these streamers and you actually put a code of conduct in place for them as well, because a lot of the shit that I've seen said on PlayerUnknown Battleground streams from big streamers is pretty abhorrently awful. Like, especially when one of those people got banned, it was expletives out the arse, accusations out the arse, all that kind of thing. I've seen this sort of thing before on a smaller scale in StarCraft. There were some really toxic streamers there. And you know, Blizzard kicked them to the curb, basically. And they became jokes. And as we mentioned earlier, that 2012 statement from Bashiok is their policy that holds today. That, look, if we're not talking about hacking here. We're not talking about cheating. We're not talking about in-game abuse and harassment. We are literally talking about the public information that you chose to give out being used against you, and we can't in any way prove that this person is currently watching your stream and using that information against you. We can't prove that. We can prove that someone is trying to join your lobby, but we can't prove the motive of it. And frankly, I think that if Bluehole had any balls, what they would do is turn around and say, guys, you chose to stream without delay. You know this is a game where it's like you're dead and you're out completely. And you also know with thousands of people watching you, you are going to be a real tempting fucking target. Of course you are. Everybody wants to be the guy that killed the famous dude. So, yes, there are going to be people trying to get into your game. Yes, there will be people giving information out about where you are, etc. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of apparently being able to make tons of money from playing a video game. That's something that's, you know, we're kind of quite privileged to be able to do. So maybe, just maybe, take a little bit of responsibility for your own business, for your own actions, for once, and take measures as a streamer to prevent that information from being useful in that way anymore. And you can go half measures with overlays and information denial to make it much harder for people to join lobbies and find out which server you're on. Or you can do the foolproof, this works every time method, which is you add a 2-minute fucking delay to your stream and the problem is gone for good. And that's you. You can do that. Everybody can do that on Twitch. It's built into the Twitch UI. And you know what I do when I run into a situation in a game where I think someone's doing that? I will turn on that delay and I'll stop complaining. Because I left that delay off and, oh, look, somebody took advantage of that. Big surprise. And if you can't prove the crime, you don't go banning people for it. Like I said, I think this is a streamer responsibility issue. In an ideal world, there would be a 100% accurate automated system that would prevent people from doing this. But that's imaginary and doesn't exist. So as a result, as a pragmatist, as somebody that lives in the real world, I say you take the approach of giving that responsibility to the people that can actually control it, and that's the streamers. Yep. And Julia, from the position of a radio host, is like, wow, these new media guys are idiots, aren't they? All these newfangled media people are real dumb.
I'm old.
Yep. And if you're unpartnered, by the way, one, nobody's watching you enough for stream sniping to be an issue. And if somehow mystically they are, OBS and XSplit also have built-in delay features. So, no, there is no excuse. Sorry. None. Zero.
Word.
Cool. All right. Yes.
Play us out with a song.
Indeed. What we'd like to do is finish up with some releases, actually. And Dodger may have to bail halfway through this and ruin all of our cameras, because she's awful. But it's fine. Jesse, do you have the cut down list?
I do. There you go.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah,
August 1st, our first game is called Tacoma.
Well, Tacoma's kind of a big deal. Something going home, folks, remember? You don't know about Tacoma?
I haven't played it. I haven't played it yet.
Okay.
It was out before, no?
No, it's by Fulbright. It's got
Why
something.
do I feel like it was out already?
No.
Like on a different platform.
No, I don't think so.
I'm going
Yeah,
mad.
it's from the creators of Gone Home. I would have thought at least one person here would have known about it. Apparently not. Okay. Fair enough. Sure. All right, next.
Next game is called 1812, The Invasion of Canada.
What? 1812, The Invasion of Canada?
Yo.
Is this some sort of weird comedy thing? What is it, Jesse?
It's a war game about the Americans invading Canada, and then it's you either choose a side, either Canada or America.
Great.
It's a real thing. It's not a joke.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Next up is called Super Samurai Rampage.
You look like
Super-
Samurai Jack, and it looks awesome.
Wait, you play Samurai Jack?
No, you just look like Samurai Jack.
Oh, okay.
Close enough.
You play
It's
an
all
unregistered
coming together.
character named Samurai John.
Okay.
But it looks amazing. I think it looks really cool.
Yep. Julie, I just tossed you the list right there, and Dodger, there's yours as well. Okay.
I already have it.
All right, cool. Neat. Does look kind of neat, I'll give you that. Yeah, that looks like a fun sort of side-scroller brawler.
Next up is called Crusader Crash.
Okay, Crusader.
It's like an old Nintendo game. You're a crusader and you crash.
Great.
We certainly need more retro-inspired games. Yep. Okay, next.
Next is called Firewood.
Firewood. Not Firewood. Damn it, I clicked Firewatch. Firewatch is still the first result when
I
you go
knew
for
that
it.
was going to happen.
2D adventure game with psychological horror elements. An old man lost his wife years ago and is still having troubles with his past. That sounds like a riot.
Cheerful.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like
Next.
it. Next game is called Rapture World Conquest.
Fast-paced real-time strategy game. This kind of looks neat. Puts you in the celestial shoes of a jealous god. Guide your followers through the ages and vanquish the unbelievers in the surrounding kingdoms. So maybe a little bit populous, a little bit light strategy, a little bit kind of cool godly powers. Yeah, I might give this a try. Looks fun.
Next up is called Genie.
Genie. It's adventure game, I think.
Great.
Probably just with static images, from what I can tell. Yeah.
Game after that is called Stripper Anya Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay, Jesse, explain this to me, please.
I believe your words were.
Oh my
light scalpel.
God.
Take a light scalpel to everything, which I did. I kept in a lot.
Is this
Great.
by the developers of that? There was another like booby brawler game a while ago.
No, these guys have developed nothing else. This is their first foray into video game.
Well, there's your Fun
Good.
Friday. I think you found that.
Yep. The next game is called Mage Guard, The Last Grimoire.
Okay. The world's first truly gesture-based spellcasting game for VR, apparently.
Fantastic. Finally.
I thought I'd already done one of those. Wasn't it, what, the Unspoken? Wasn't that?
Didn't they do a Harry Potter something?
I think they did. Yeah. They're probably going to go for, yeah, but this is true for some reason. Again, another damn early access game. I mean, I like the idea of the gesture-based spells and stuff, but I'll wait for it to be actually finished before I throw money at it.
Yeah.
Next.
Next game is called Redeemer.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. Big brawler, lots of different weapons, pretty ultra-violent. It seems like it sort of shifts from an isometric to a third-person perspective at times. Yeah, it looks fairly well polished.
Next up is called The Monster Inside.
The Monster Inside.
The title of my autobiography.
It's a film noir style audiovisual novella, apparently. Which does look like it's got some kind of nice monochrome art in it.
Great. Next up is Maggie's Apartment, which is kind of a cute, weird point and click that just came out.
Sure.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Next.
Next up is Fidel Dungeon Rescue.
Dungeon crawler. Do you play a dog?
You play as a little cute doggy.
Play as a dog.
Aw.
Ah.
That's kind of neat.
Adorable.
All right, sure.
Next
I
up
accept.
is The Initiate.
Yeah, what's this about? That sounds interesting.
What's that about, Jesse?
That's a great question. The Initiate.
You made the list.
Super prepared.
Yeah, no, it's a puzzle game with horror elements, but it is more puzzle, less horror. You're essentially room escaping.
All right.
Great. Next up is Frisky Business for PS4.
That's on my business card.
Yeah. We saw
business.
this a
I
while
love
ago.
it.
It basically looks like a lot of these silly visual novels are starting to get ported to PS4 now, so they get that.
Excellent. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, something on PS4 that was a bit of a surprise announcement. Of course, Patapon Remastered. That's coming today. That's
for
good.
PS4.
Avon Colony, which came out a couple of days ago out of early access on PC, is now on PS4 as well. That's a colony management game.
The next one is Demetrios the Big Cynical Adventure for PS4.
The Journey of an Idiot. 8 to 12 hours of fun.
Great.
Just looks like a kind of bad point and click.
Oh.
Next up is Dino Frontier for PS4.
I feel like I've heard of that from somewhere else. It's not on Steam, though. Not exactly sure what Dino Frontier is. Trying to find out.
PS4 game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's PS4 VR. It's by Uber, the guys that made Planetary Annihilation and stuff. It looks sort of interesting. You seem to like be building a kind of a dino western town. It's dinos in the old west somehow. I think.
Okay.
Which is
Got
kind of
it.
cool, I guess. All right.
The Long Dark for PS4.
Yep.
Yeah, the game I feel like I've played already, but I haven't played.
Yep. It's been out on PC for a while. It's very good. Also, another one that's been out on PC for a while is now making its way to PS4. Had a good reception. Shadow Tactics Blaze of the
Shadow
Shogun.
Tactics.
Yep. Play Sneaky Ninjas.
Moving on to August 2nd, we have Aztez, AZTEZ.
Ooh,
Play as an
oh.
Aztec.
Oh, yeah. Sort of a big brawler beat 'em up thing, but it's got an Aztec art style. I do like the look of this. Weirdly enough, it's like a very violent Patapon, actually, in many ways. That's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
neat. Check that out.
The next game is Tacoma again for some
Again,
reason.
somehow,
So we're gonna
okay.
we're gonna move
Yeah,
on
sure.
to Run Krabby Run.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only reason why I kept this in there is because the intro is my favorite intro to any trailer I've ever seen. It's
Great.
I'm waiting for it to get good. Still not good.
you're missing the music. Do you have the music on?
No, I
It's-
can't play the music during that. You know
Oh,
that.
well, that's your problem then. Music sells it.
Well,
no.
then the next game is called The Legend of Heroes: Trails of Cold Steel.
Yeah. Another Legend of Heroes game for PC. Trails in the Sky was out. We're getting Cold Steel now, apparently, so that's good. I can't apparently also spell heroes, but there you go.
Cool. August 3rd, we have Gaia 2200.
Mm-hmm.
2200. Whatever that is.
Which appears to be all in Chinese, I think.
Ah,
Great.
It's,
The next game
tower
is
defense.
called
Next.
Next game is Burn It Down.
Burn it down.
second autobiography.
Burn it all down.
Okay, sure. Looks like a pixel platformer.
Cool. Next up is called Wake Up, all one word.
Is that before or after you burn it all down?
This is
Everyone's dead. They don't wake up.
What the
That's
fuck
point.
is this, and why did you include it?
it's a really trippy VR game.
No, it isn't.
Perfect.
It's
wait.
included again because someone said don't get rid of everything.
Oh, it's a different Wake Up. I'm not sure if this is not the same Wake Up at all. This one came out in 2016. Wake Up is a shitty looking roguelite that comes out in 3 days.
Oh well.
Next.
See, that's where I'm at.
Next is Dark Elf.
Oh, of course it is. Look at them anime boobs. Right.
Great. Next up is The Baron Got You Again.
The Baron got you again.
Sorry,
Did he?
chat. I'm trying to go fast because I got to get the fuck out of here. For everybody who's like, she's blasting through them a little too fast for us
Well,
to see.
yeah, and most of these are
these games are.
worthless. What do you want us to even talk about? This is shit.
It's like a singular image to base everything off.
Yeah, it just looks like an escape room VR game. Okay.
Great. Next up is Juanito Arcade Mayhem.
Juanito Arcade Mayhem.
It looks super cute.
I guess, but what is it? This is a sort of retro platformer and arcade game and other kinds of mini games. All right.
Great. The next game we've talked about before, Slime Sand.
But that's for Nintendo
Nintendo
Switch. Yeah.
Then Retro City Rampage for the Switch.
Yeah.
August 4th, we have Gary Grisby's War in the West.
Oh, it's War in
Very
the West now,
specific.
yeah. Yeah, he did War in the East before that. Really, really big hardcore war game. Basically, if you're not like big into wargaming, don't even touch with 10 foot pole.
Okay.
Next up is Sheffy, Shephy.
Yeah, it's a little solitaire sheep card game that came out for the Switch last week. It is now on PC.
Next up is called Draw Puzzle. Is it a puzzle where you draw?
I hope so.
It's,
Great.
it's fucking Picross. Next.
Okay, game after that is called Mind Night.
Okay.
Sounds like a Spectrum game.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
a party game. It's an online.
It's a social deduction game. So it's like Werewolf and the Resistance for 5 to 10 players. So and Mafia. There's obviously quite a lot of those, but more of these the better, especially if they have interesting twists on them. Okay. Last
Next up is
few,
called
and then you can
Murder.
leave. Murder. Yeah.
Murder.
When would video games have something like that in it? From the artist behind Stranded comes a short story about the intersection of morality and sentence. This sounds way more boring than I expected.
Yeah, murder makes it sound exciting. That does not sound exciting.
It's a short vignette point and click, apparently. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Next.
August 5th, we have System Goose Overload.
Free-to-play game. The great war between geese and humans comes to an end. Thank God.
Great.
Thank God.
Phew. I was so worried.
Finally!
I can't even tell what the game is based on the gameplay. Yeah, that's great. Next.
Next up is Heroes of Civilizations.
Thank God that game's free to play. God knows no one ever paid money for that. Strategy-based card game themed in ancient civilization culture. I do like my card games. Presentation of this looks gnarly as hell. Next.
Next up is called Minotaur.
Minotaur.
You play as Minotaur and you kill people.
Wholesome, family appropriate story of bestiality, human sacrifice. Great. Next.
Oh, great. And August 6th, we have Watergate Extreme.
Are you
Is that
fucking
Richard
kidding
Nixon,
me?
like, on
Are
a
you
half fight?
fucking
I
actually
hope so.
fucking
Because it pretty much
kidding
is
me?
Bomberman, but with Watergate people.
Video games are fucking
really?
awful.
This is so No, I'm not going to go there.
Fucking hate video games so much. All right, we're done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching the Co-optional podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Dodger has to run off. Big thanks to our guest, Julia Hardy. Dodger, where are you about to go to so they can watch you on
I am
it?
about to host the Crunchyroll Marathon wrap-up because they've been showing tons of anime on Twitch. So it'll be the official wrap-up with me, PrettyZP, with Octopimp and Trihex. So the four of us are just going to gab about anime for a couple of hours if you would like to come and watch that.
Cool. Big thanks to our sponsor, Squarespace. Head to squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. Thanks to our guest, Julia Hardy. Thanks to Jesse once again. And I'm going to go encode and upload a Pyre video. Thank you very much. We're done. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.